Okay. Good morning, Lavai. So, can you hear me? Right? So, today we are going to start our 2026 biology revision and paper class. Right? Give me a second, Lavai. Okay. So, now today we are going to start our 2026 revision and paper class. Right? So, before starting the class, so there are some students who have already joined my previous classes, and there are some new students also. So before starting the class, I would like to introduce myself. So I'm Dr. Buddhiman, right? I'm living in Colombo, so in Borella, and I went to DSA Nanak College, and I did my medical studies in Karapiti Medical Faculty, which is in Galle, right? It's University of Ruhana, right? So then I did my internship in Jayawardena General Hospital. Then in COVID era, I worked in a COVID center, Moragasmulla Primary Care Unit, then in RDHS, which is known as Regional Director of Health Services. Then now I'm working in National Institute of Infectious Disease, which is known as IDH Hospital, right? So I'm working in the PCU, right, where we manage emergencies. And okay, so that's about myself, right? So some of our students or who already joined my previous classes or previous seminars know about myself and our plan also, how I teach and what's our plan, that's also known by those students, right? So first of all, before starting the class, we have to know what are we going to do in this class, right? What is our plan and what I'm going to do and what you have to do, right? So first, let's discuss about the problems that you face, right? Problems. Right? What are the problems you are facing when you are sitting for the exam, right? දැන් ළමයි ඔගොල්ලෝ exam එක ලියන්න ලෑස්ති වෙලානේ ඉන්නේ. The exam will be in next year August, right? But the exact date might be pushed bit backward because of the crisis which happened, right? So anyway, so we are going to plan the class for August, right? So we are getting ready for the exam in August, right? So the problem is now you are studying. So ඔගොල්ලමයි දැන්ටමත් classes වලට ගිහිල්ලා ඇති. So this is a revision class. Definitely you have joined classes previously, right? So then ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ මොකක්ද ළමයි? Even you study these things today, the exam will be in August, right? That's the problem. So the first problem is you are tend to forget these things, right? So just think, if I do the class today, right? I'm doing the class today, right? And exam will be tomorrow. Can you answer the questions or no? Then you can answer the questions definitely. අද ක්ලාස් එකේ පාඩම ගන්නලා හෙට තිබ්බනම් එක්සෑම් එක ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ආන්සර්ස් ලියන්න බැරිද ළමයි? පුළුවන්. මේ බයොලොජි කියන්නේ එහෙම ඩීප් ගොඩාක් අමාරු සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් නෙමෙයි ළමයි. අන්න එතකොට අද පාඩම කරලා හෙට එක්සෑම් එක තිබ්බනම් you will definitely write the answers, right? You will get all the marks. But the problem is exam will be on August. There will be 8 more months for the exam, right? The second problem is the content, right? The content, right? In advanced level biology, there's huge facts and huge content, right? So there are 10 units, right? So you have resource book, which has many information that you have to remember. So those are the two main problems you are facing, right? So the exam is in 8 months, right? So you have studied these things for 2 years and you have to sit for the exam, right? අද පාඩම කියලා දුන්නා නම් හෙට එක්සෑම් එක තිබ්බනම් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ අද පාඩම කියලා දුන්නට අද කියලා දෙන පාඩමෙනුත් එක්සෑම් එක තියෙන්නේ ඕගස්ට් වල. That's the problem, right? ඒකයි content එක වැඩි. හරි. ඒ දෙක තමයි ළමයි main problems දෙක, right? ඊළඟට so why did this happens? Why you can't keep these things in your memory, right? To understand that, you have to know few things about our brain and how our memory works, right? So without knowing how our memory works, you can't remember things, right? First you have to know how your memory works, right? So you have to know about memory. So all purpose of this class, the whole purpose of this exam, right? All purpose of this education system is to check your memory, right? That's what they do. So for that you have to know about memory, right? Without knowing how your memory works, you can't do this. You can't keep these things in your memory, right? So for keep these things in your memory, you have to know, understand how the memory works, how you forget things, right? So you have to know that our brain is, right? Brain is always trying to forget things, right? Our brain is always trying to forget things, right? It is trying to forget. So ඔගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙන්න ඕන ළමයි දැන් අපිට අද කියලා දුන්න දේ හෙට මතක තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වුණාට දැන් පෙරේද කහපු කෑම මොකද්ද කියලා මතක. So can you remember what do you had for the lunch day before yesterday? You can't remember ළමයි. Most of the time you can't remember. If it is a special event, so day before yesterday you went to a restaurant to have the lunch, then you will be definitely remember those things. But that memory also won't last forever, right? So we tend to forget things, right? Our brain is wired in a way that most of the things which happens during the day will be forget in few hours, right? So that's the main problem, right? That's the main problem you are facing, right? Then, right? So even the lessons or even the classes, even the studies you have done will be forgotten, right? That's the nature of our brain. You have to understand that, right? And the worst thing for the exam, that the brain is trying to, so they will forget things ne lamai. So this is the memory of an event. You will forget most of that memory. So this part will be forgotten. What the memory will do, brain will do is, the brain can, right? So the brain can rebuild the memory, right? So මේකයි වෙන්නේ. දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ කලින් දෙයක් පාඩම් කරලා තිබ්බ කියලා හිතන්න. මතක තියාගෙන තිබ්බ කියලා හිතන්න. බ්‍රේන් එකට පුළුවන් නම් ඒකෙන් කොටස් අමතක වෙනවනේ. බ්‍රේන් එකට පුළුවන් ඒක ඉතුරු ටික ඉමේජින් කරලා එයා he will connect few things, few other memories and මේක memory. අන්න ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙන්න ඕනේ. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ අවුරුදු 10කට 15කට කලින් වෙච්ච ස්පෙෂල් ඉන්සිඩන්ට් එකක් හිතන්න. රයිට් මොකක් හරි ස්පෙෂල් ඉන්සිඩන්ට් එකක්. එතකොට ඒ ඉන්සිඩන්ට් එකේ සමහර දේවල් ඇත්තටම වාගේ මෙමරියේ තියෙන දේවල් සමහර දේවල් වාගේ මෙමරියෙන් වෙනස් වෙලා වෙන වෙන දේවල් ටිකකුත් ඒකට කනෙක්ට් කරනවා during a long period. හරි. එතකොට ඔය එක්සෑම් එකේදීත් මේකේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා ළමයි. So if you are sitting for the exam and you are answering a question, mainly the MCQs, you can't differentiate the correct one and the wrong one. So if you fade the memory, right? So that's the memory. Then you have to understand the forget curve. There's a special curve. So let's study about the forget curve. So how you forget these things, right? So this is your memory, right? This is your memory and this is time. It's time. Right? This is the memory and time, right? So then ළමයි අද පාඩම කරා කියලා හිතන්නකෝ. What will happen, right? So today I am doing the lesson. So today we are studying unit 1, right? So this is 100%, right? 100% memory, right? Just the memory will go like this, lama, right? Just within 1 hour, you will lost 50% of your memory. Just within 1 hour, you lost 50% of your memory, right? That's how our brain works, right? So you will tend to forget 50% of the things that you have learned already. Usually within 1 week, you will definitely lose around, so you will lose around 80% of the things that you have already studied, right? Within 1 week, right? So within 1 week, there will be only 20% left, right? දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන. දැන් අද මම පාඩම කියලා දුන්නා within 1 hour you will lose 50% of the things that you have learned, right? Within 1 week only 20% will be remain. තව හිටියොත් ළමයි තව අඩු වෙලා යනවා. ඒක ඉස්සෙල්ලා තේරුම් ගන්න. That's how your brain works, right? ඒක හින්දා ඔයගොල්ලෝ බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න එපා ළමයි අද කරන පාඩමේ දේවල් ඔයාට එක්සෑම් එක වෙනකම් මතක තියෙයි කියලා. That won't happen, right? Not only for you, for me also, that won't happen. I'm also going to forget these things, right? Forget anything. ඒක තමයි අපේ brain එක හැදිලා තියෙන විදිය. හරිනේ. දැන් එතකොට කොහොමද ළමයි අපි එක්සෑම් එක ලියන්නේ? එක්සෑම් එක තියෙන්නේ not in 1 week නේ ළමයි, it will be in 8 months. හරිනේ. එතකොට we have to keep everything in your memory, right? හරි. එතකොට කොහොමද අපි මෙමරි එක තියාගන්නේ? හරිනේ. ඒකට ළමයි කරන්න ඕනේ දේ තමයි ඔයා හිතන්න දැන් within half an hour, within an hour you lose most of the things of that you learn නේ ළමයි. එතකොට ඔයා කරන්න ඕනේ within that hour revise it again, right? එතකොට වෙන්නේ ළමයි දැන් මෙතන ඉඳන් දැන් හිතන්න මේක අඩු වෙගෙන යන ගමන් ඉන්නේ. So it's sloping down, right? But you reassess or revise the things will go like that, right? So you don't have to work hard. මේක තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ. දැන් ඔයා මෙතන හිටියොත් if you want to revise that thing, you have to work a lot to make it to the 100%. But if you are here, it is very easy to revise, right? So within first few hours, you have to revise it, right? ඊළඟට ඊට පස්සේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ හිතනවාද ළමයි it will be in your memory? No, it will again go in the same way, but the slope will be not that much like previous time. එතකොට ඔයා කරන්න ඕනේ මොකද්ද? ආයි පාරක් මේක මතක් කරගන්න. මේක ආයි පාරක් මතක් කරගන්න. ඔහොමම ගියාම ළමයි it will be go into a long term memory. Right? Give me a second ළමයි. To your memory. Right? හරි. දැන් මේකනේ ප්‍රශ්නේ. එතකොට ඔයා අද පාඩම් කරන එක හෙට වෙද්දිම මතක නෑ ළමයි. එතකොට ඔයා ඒකට කරන්න ඕනේ මොකද්ද? You have to revise it again and again. Right? And don't let your brain to forget these things. අපි මේකෙත් කරන්නේ එහෙම වැඩක් තමයි ළමයි. එතකොට අපි කරන්නේ මේ ක්ලාස් එකේ කරන දේවල් ටික අමතක වෙන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ. That's our plan. That's the easiest ways to remember things, right? ඔයා මතක තියාගන්නවා ඊට පස්සේ අමතක වෙන්න දෙන්නේ නැතුව තියාගන්නවා. Right? Forgetting is the main issue, right? So නිකන් හරි හිතන්න ළමයි. ඔයා මේ අද පාඩම කරලා හෙට ඔයාට එක්සෑම් එක හොඳටම ලියන්න පුළුවන් නේ. අද කරපු පාඩමෙන්, right? If you will will able to go through the whole syllabus, right, just before the exam day, exam එකට කලින් දවසේ මුළු syllabus එකේ A to Z revise කරන්න පුළුවන් වුණොත් you will definitely get A, right? You will definitely get A, but it's not that much easy ළමයි නේ. එච්චර easy නෑ. මොකද the content is there's a lot of things that you have to go through, right? හැබැයි නිකමට හරි ඔයාට පුළුවන් වුණොත් එක්සෑම් එකට කලින් දවසේ මුළු සිලබස් එක through A to Z යන්න, that will be a huge help, right? හරි. දැන් මම මොනවද කිව්වේ ළමයි? What is the problem you are facing? මොකක්ද problem එක? අද කරලා හෙට එක්සෑම් එක තිබ්බොත් it's okay, but the exam is in August, right? So you will forget lot of things. And the biology syllabus, the content is way more than other subjects, right? So you have to remember a lot of facts, right? ඒ දෙක තමයි main problem දෙක biology වල තියෙන. හරිද? ඊළඟට මම කතා කරා memory එක ගැන. So our memory, our brain is wired in a way that it will try to forget things, right? Forget many things. And it will create some memories. අන්න එතකොට එක්සෑම් එකේදී මේක ලොකු ඉෂුව එකක් නේ. ඔයාට මතකයි කියලා හිතුවට වෙන වෙන දේවල් වෙන්න පුළුවන් මතක. හරිනේ? මා ප්‍රශ්න. ඊට පස්සේ අපි කතා කරා forget curve එක. Right? What happens? 50% of your 50% of your facts that you have learned will be vanished in 1 hour. And 80% will be vanished in 1 week. Right? So අපිට මාස 8ක් ගැන කතා කරලා තේරුමක් නැහැ ළමයිනේ. ඒකට මොකුත් ඔළුවේ තියෙන්නේ නැහැ. So what you have to do, you have to revise that lessons without letting the brain to forget those things. Right. එතකොට දැන් මේවා හැමෝම කියනවා හැමෝම දන්නවනේ ළමයි. ගොඩක් ළමයි දන්නවනේ අපි ආයි බලන්න ඕනේ. ඒක දැනගෙන ළමයි මේ ඉච්චර කල් ගියේ දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ කරන්න ඕනේ මොනවාද කියලා දැනගෙන තමයි මේ අවුරුද්දක් වැඩ කරලා තියෙන්නේ. හරිනේ. හැබැයි දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ හිතපු මට්ටමේ නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. හරි හිතන් හිටිය විදිහට කරන්න බැරි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. හරි. දැන් මේ ක්ලාස් එකේදී මම මොකද්ද කරන්නේ? So what I'm going to do in this class, right? First thing, I'll help you to keep these things in your memory, right? So what I'm going to do, right? What I do, right? What I'm going to do, right? So first thing, ඕගොල්ලොන්ට මතක තියාගන්න නම් you have to first you have to understand the theories, right? So I am going to teach you the theories first. In our revision class, I am going to teach you the 3 theories A to Z, right? So I am going to teach you the theories. right. දැන් theory ගන්නවට වැඩක් නැහැ ළමයි මේව අමතක වෙනවා නා. ඊළඟට මම මොකද කරන්නේ ළමයි? අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම I'll be revise the things that I have already teach you within hour. දැන් පාඩම කරගෙන යන ගමන් ආයි පාරක් definitely I'm going to revise this thing. මේකත් මම revise කරන්න ළමයි එකපාරක්. නේ? මේ මොකද්ද කියාගෙන ආවේ කියලාත් revise කරන්න. ඒ වගේ තමයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට අමතක වෙලා යනවා. That's the way. I'll revise what have I have teach you, right? Within few hours, within the first hour, right? Maybe එකපාරක් නෙමෙයි ළමයි කීප පාරක් මම ඒක කියනවා. හරිනේ? එතකොට that you will revise that things again and again. And at the end of the class, I'll do a quick recap, right? At the end of the class, I'll do a recap, right? So කලින් මයි ක්ලාස් ආපු ළමයි දන්නවා ළමයි අපි රීකැප් එක වෙනම වීඩියෝ එකක් විදිහට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට එවනවා. So ඔයාට පුළුවන් ළමයි මුළු වීඩියෝ එකම බලන්න නැතුව නේ ක්ලාස් එකේ රීකැප් එක it will be around 5 to 10 minutes ළමයි. I'll go through the things that I have done in the class on that day. Quick recap. So ඒ රීකැප් වීඩියෝ එක මම වෙනම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට එවනවා. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පුළුවන් ඒ රීකැප් වීඩියෝ එක බලලා ආයි ඒ ෆැක්ට්ස් ටික ඔක්කොම රිවයිස් කරගන්න. සහ I'll revise it at the end of the class, right? අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ක්ලාස් එක ඉවර වෙච්ච ගමන් මම රිවයිස් එකක් කරනවා. ඊළඟ දේ තමයි ළමයි in the next week ඊළඟ සතිය ආවම පස්සේ කලින් ක්ලාස් ආපු ළමයි දන්නවා මම කරන්නේ මොකද්ද? I'll go through what we have done up to now. අද ක්ලාස් එක කරනවා නම් මම ගිය සතියේ කරපුවා මේන්ලි දැන් ඒ යුනිට් එකේ කරපු ටික ආයි ක්වික්ලි රිවයිස් කරලා තමයි ක්ලාස් එක පටන් ගන්න ළමයි. හරි? ක්ලාස් එක පටන් ගන්නෙ ආයි ක්වික්ලි රිවයිස් කරලා. දැන් එතනම ළමයි right? මෙතනම කීප පාරක් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මතක් කරවනවා. හරි? එතකොට මේක කීප පාරක් මමම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ආයි එකම ෆැක්ට්ස් ටික කියනවා. right? ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙයි සමහරවිට එකම දේ මම කියවන්නේ කියලා. හැබැයි එකම දේ කියවන එකේ වටිනකමක් තියෙනවා. So what I do, I'll teach you the theories, I'll revise you those theories when I'm doing the class, and I'll do a quick recap at the end of the class, and I'll revise the things what we have done up to now before starting the next class, right? එතකොට මෙන්න මෙතනදී සතියකට පස්සෙත් I'll revise, right? Then so how I am going to teach the theories, so you have to know that. So for some parts I am going to use drawings, right? ඔගොල්ලෝ කලින් මගේ seminars වලට mainly the molecular biology seminar එකට එහෙම නැත්නම් I'll already put in YouTube about year, right? So නිකන් හරි ඔගොල්ලෝ ඒ seminars වලට ආවනම් you will know that how the drawings are done, right? So you have to take a drawing book, right, in the class, right? So you have to have a drawing book and you have to draw the pictures that I'm going to draw. I'll tell you lamai හැම එකම අඳ ගන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. I'll tell you what you have to draw and what you don't have to draw. And you have to go through those drawings again and again, right? So first, then I'm giving you a note. Actually it's a short note. Even though it's a short note, it is not short, right? Even though it is not named as short note, it's actually a theory note. ඒකේ ඔක්කොම දේවල් the resource book එකේ තියෙන ඔක්කොම ටික ඒකේ තියෙනවා ළමයි. So every fact in the resource book will be in that short note. So I have already sent you the notes ළමයි, right? So if you don't have the notes, if you didn't receive the note, please send me a WhatsApp message. I'll send it to you, right? So ඒ note එකේ තියෙන ළමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැක්කනම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා. So I'll show you a note, right? Give me a second. Brightness වැඩිද ළමයි? So one student asked to reduce the brightness a bit. So wait ළමයි. So I have to ask the, give me a second. Board එක පේන්නේ නැද්ද ළමයි? Give me a second. Give me a second, ළමයි. So as I told you, what I'm going to do, I'm going to teach you the theories A to Z, right, using drawings, and I'll provide you the short note which includes all the facts which are in your resource book. So it's actually not a short note, it includes all the things but categorized well, right? And the mind map which has blanks, right? Blanks in a mind map. So you have to, what you have to do, you have to go through the mind map and revise the things frequently, right? So then, right, that's what I'm going to do, right? Then what you should do, right? What you should do. Right? තොර ළමයි මම හැමදාම ක්ලාස් එකේ මෙච්චර පාරක් රිවයිස් කරනවා නම් ඔයා කරන්න ඕනේ දේවල් ටිකක් තියෙනවා මම මේ අදම කියන්නේ මේ ටික කරන්න ඕනෙම නිසා. First thing, you have to go through what I have done in the class while you are going to your home, right? On the way to home, right? තොර ගෙදර යන ගමන්, right? එතකොට ඔයා ගෙදර යන ගමන් අනිවාර්යෙන්ම maybe you are going by bus, maybe you are going by a car or vehicle, maybe you are in the home joining online, right? එතකොට දැන් ෆිසිකල් ළමයින්ට නම් ගෙදර යන ගමන්, ඔන්ලයින් ළමයින්ට නම් ක්ලාස් එක ඉවර වුණ ගමන්, හරි විනාඩි 5ක් 10ක් හිටියට ගමන් නැහැ ළමයි අම්මට කියලා තේ එකක් හරි හදාගෙන නේ ඒක තේක බොන ගමන් ආයි අනිවාර්යයෙන් මේක definitely you have to do this, right? So after finishing the class, go through what have I have done on that day, right? That's the main thing. Then this mind map, right? This mind map, you have to write it by your handwriting. Mind map එක ළමයි අතින් ලියන්න. It's better if you can write the short note and mind map both. හරි? හරි. ඇයි එහෙම කියන්නේ? එතකොට ළමයි වෙන්නේ you will revise it again. මම මේක print කරලා දුන්නාට you have to write it. මේක හොඳට තේරුම් ගන්න. මේ අමාරු වැඩ ටිකක් නෙමෙයි කියන්නේ. හරිනේ. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට හිතෙන්න පුළුවන් කොහොමද මෙච්චර දේවල් කරන්නේ වගේ එකක් හිතෙනවා නම් ඒක ඉතින් අමාරු වෙලම. හරිනේ මහ ලොකු දෙයක් නෑනේ මේ ටිකම මමනේ කරන්නේ. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කරන්න තියෙන්නේ දැනට එකයි. මොකද්ද? අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ක්ලාස් එක ඉවර වෙච්ච ගමන් ක්ලාස් එකේ දා කරපු ටික එකපාරක් රිවයිස් කරන්න. That's the first thing. Then මේ short note and mind map you have to write it, right? In your handwriting. Right? Write the short note and mind map, right? Short note and mind map. You have to write it, right? Then you have to go through the mind map each and every day. Revise the mind map daily. තුර කරන්න ඕනේ ක්ලාස් එක ඉවරන ගමන් මේක through යන්න ඕනේ. short note එකයි mind map එකයි ලියන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට එදා ක්ලාස් එක කරන ටික ළමයි සතියක් තියෙනවනේ මට ලියන්න. අනිත් එක තමයි මේ mind map එකේ හැමදාම අර හිස්තැන් තියෙනවනේ ළමයි. මේ හිස්තැන් ටික ඔයා හිතින් පුරවගෙන යන්න ඕනේ. right? දැන් මේ සතියේ කරපු ටික අඩුම ගානේ සති දෙකක්වත් හැමදාම බලන්න. සති දෙකක් විතර එක දිගට හැමදාම මේක හිස්තැන් ටික පුරවන්න. It will take only 10 minutes ළමයි. You have to know that. අනේ අද මම පැය ගාණක් ක්ලාස් එක කරත් ඒ ක්ලාස් එකේ තිබ්බ ඔක්කොම ටික මයින්ඩ් මැප් එකේ හිතින් පුරවගෙන යන අර හිස්තැන් ටික it will take only 10 to 15 minutes. එතකොට ඔයාට දවසකට 10 to 15 minutes biology revise කරන්න වෙන් කරන්න වෙනවා. Without that we can't do this, right? You definitely have to revise these things daily, at least for 2 weeks. සති දෙකක් ගියාට පස්සේ ඔයාලට පුළුවන් ළමයි සතියට 3 පාරක් විතර බලන්න. මාසයක් විතර ගියාන් පස්සේ ඔයාලට පුළුවන් සතියකට පාරක් බලන්න. But at least once a week you have to go through the mind maps from unit 1 to 10. 10 හරි එදා වෙනකන් කරපු ටික වෙනකන් at least once a week. Right? දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන ළමයි මේ plan එකේ යන්න ඕන. මේ plan එකේ ගියොත් definitely you will be get a and you might get a rank even. හරි? ඔයගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් ගන්න මේකෙන් rank එකක් වුණත් ගන්න පුළුවන්. මේ විදිහට කරොත්. අපි මොකද්ද කරන්නේ? අපි ඉගෙන ගන්නවා. ඉගෙන ගන්න දේ අමතක වෙන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ. We don't let our brain to forget these things. Right? So I'll teach you the theory, revise you, recap you, and revise in the next week also. Then you have to do just after the class you have to revise it. Then you have to write the mind map and short note and go through the mind map and fill the blanks. Right? You don't have to write the answers. Just fill the blanks by mind maybe in your mind. Right? Right. Then the drawings, you have to go through the drawings also. There won't be much lamai. You have to go through the drawings also. Right. Then later I'll teach you, we have to make a topic map. Right. Later we have to make a topic map. Right. Not the mind map. It's different from the mind map. It's topic map. I'll teach you what to do, how to do it. Right. So that topic map will help you to write the essay answers. හරි. දැන් මේක තේරුම් ගන්න ළමයි. දැන් මේ මයින්ඩ් මැප් තියනවා නේද ළමයි? මයින්ඩ් මැප් එකේ there's blanks නේ ළමයි. ඒ හිස් තැන් වල තියෙන්නේ ළමයි what they are asking in your questions, right? So මේ මයින්ඩ් මැප් එකේ මේ හිස් තැන් වල තියෙන දේවල් තමයි ළමයි MCQ වල අහන්නේ. right? MCQ වල අහන්නේ මේ හිස් තැන් වල තියෙන දේවල්. What is natural resources? මේ තියෙන්නේ ඒකේ තියෙන්න ඕනේ facts ටික. What is a natural resource? Natural resources are limited. Why the natural resources are limited? Because of the increase the population, before the increasing of the population, overuse, reduce the natural resources. අන්න ඒ වගේ ළමයි මේවා ටික හිතින් පුරවගෙන යන්න පුළුවන් කියන්නේ you will definitely can answer the MCQs and structured essays. Right? But for essays, you have to prepare that. What? You have to prepare the topic map. I'll tell you when to and how to make the topic map. Right? So that's what you have to do. Right. So අපි මොනවද කතා කරලා මොනවද ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ? අද ඉගෙන ගන්න දෙයක් හෙට ඇහුවොත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. මාස 8කින් 10කින් ඇහුවොත් මතක නැහැ. Right? අනිත් එක තමයි content එක ගොඩක් වැඩි. එතකොට ඔයාගේ memory trying to forget these things. So this is the forget curve. You will lost 50% of your memory within 1 hour. Right? So what I do in the class, I'll teach you the theories A to Z and I'll revise it, I'll recap it at the end of the class and I'll revise it again in next week. Right? And I'll teach you in drawings which will help you to keep these things in memory and I'll provide you a short note and a mind map. Right? Then what you have to do, you have to do very few things. Right? So what you have to do, first thing, this will take 10 minutes. Revise what we have done in the class just after finishing the class. It will take 10 minutes. Actually, the time consuming thing is writing the short note and mind map. ඇයි මම මේක ලියන්න කියන්නේ ළමයි? එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේක ලියනවා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? You read the note and you process that thing and then you write it. So it's you are revising these things 3 times. Right? So you will read it, you process it and then write it. Right? So you will revise it 3 times when you're writing. And your handwritings will be in your memory more than the typed letters. වාගේ අකුරු ළමයි වාගේ අකුරු ළමයි වාතින් ලියන දේනේ. It will last longer than typed printed version of the note. Right? Then you have to revise the mind map. අර mind map එකේ තියෙන හිස්තැන් ටික it will take only 10 minutes ළමයි. Right? So this, to write the short note and mind map, it will take few hours, but to revise it will only take 15 to 10 to 15 minutes. You have to give this 10 to 15 minutes each and every day. ඒක ළමයි හැමදාම අර mind map එකේ හිස්තැන් ටික පුරවගෙන යනවා. ඒක මොකක් හරි එකක් එක පටල ගන්නවා. හිතන්න අම්මා හවසට මම ওই ළමයින්ට කියලා තියෙනවා දැන් හැමදාම හවසට අම්මා තේක දෙනවා නම් ඒත් ඒක මොන වෙලාවට you go through what we have done. විනාඩි 15ක් කියයි ළමයි. අර mind map එකේ හිස්තැන් ටික පුරවගෙන යන්න. හැමදාම ඒක කරන්න. And go through the drawings, and later I'll teach you how to make the topic maps. Right. Then ළමයින්ට ප්‍රශ්නයක් එන්න පුළුවන් ළමයි. සර් නම් කියයි. සර් කියනවා මේ ටික කරා නම් හරි. හරිනේ. මේ ඇත්තටම MCQs ආයි වෙනම කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. essays වෙනම කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. Anyway, I will discuss MCQs, essays and structured essays in the class, right? ඒත් මේ mind map එකේ මේ හැමදේම තියෙනවා. හරිනේ. ඊළඟ දැන් ඕගොල්ලොන්ට ප්‍රශ්නයක් එන්න පුළුවන් නේ සර් කිව්වට කොහොමද අපි මේක විශ්වාස කරන්නේ? අපිට ඇත්තට මේ එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් නේද? මම ඩෙෆිනිට්ලි කියනවා ළමයි ඕගොල්ලෝ S level එකක fail level එකේ හිටියත් අද ඉඳන් හරියට මේ වැඩේ කරගෙන ගියොත් you will get a A for biology, definitely you get a A. But you have to do what I have done. මේ told you to do, right? මේ ටික විතරයි. අද ඉඳන් පටන් ගමු ළමයි. මේ එකක් ගන්නවා කියන එක මහලුකව අමාරු වැඩක් නෙමෙයි. biology වලට විශේෂයෙන් biology වලට it's easy. You don't have to, right, argue. You don't have to නේ ගොඩාක් දේවල් වල ළමයි කෙලිම facts පිටින් මතක තියාගන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් මේක easy but the content is more. You will forget. That's the problem. Right. Then දැන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට එන්න පුළුවන් නේ සර් කිව්වට මෙන්න මේ පොඩ්ඩ විතරක් කරලා හැමදාම මේ ටික බලලා විතරක් අපිට මේක හරියයිද කියලා. තමයි මම කියන්න ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මගේ කතාව. එතකොට මම DS Sena College is my school. Then in A levels I didn't do that much well ළමයි. මම එහෙම superior brain එකක් තියෙන superior වැඩෙක් නෙමෙයි ළමයි A level කාලේ. Anyway, I have selected to the medical faculty, right? And I am the cutoff. You have to know that I am the cutoff. I am the last person who have been selected to the medical faculty from Colombo. The one below me will be was entered to the dental faculty, right? I am the cutoff. So I am the lucky one. If I lose one MCQ, I won't be a doctor, not a medical doctor. I'll be a dentist. So if I lose 3 to 4 MCQs, I'll be a vet. So that's how things happen, right? So I am the cutoff, right? So you have to know, if I am the cutoff, I am not the smartest guy who went to the medical faculty. You have to know that. මම නම් cutoff එක, I am the least smartest guy who went to the medical faculty from Colombo. So the medical faculty won't be easy for me like as for the other students, right? එහෙම නෙවෙයි ළමයි first try තමයි මම ගියේ. එතකොට but so in first years මම වැඩත් ගොඩක් කරා ළමයි කොළඹ හිටිය කාලේ හිටිය කොළඹ යනවා කාලේ යනවා. So I didn't perform well in first few years in the medical faculty, right? I didn't perform well. So එහෙම නිකම් බැජ් එකේ first මේවත් එකපාරම exam pass වුණේවත් එහෙම එක්කෙනෙක් නෙමෙයි ළමයි මම. හරිනේ? එතකොට මම exam repeat වුණා. Second DA exam repeat වුණා. Third DA repeat වුණා. Fourth DA repeat exam දෙන්නා. So that's how the medical faculty is going. Those exams are very hard ළමයි. So even passing the exams is the dream, not take the ranks. Okay, right? But in the final year, in the final exam, what I have done was, so final exam එකේදී ළමයි I followed this theory, right? I make a mind map and a short. First I took all the notes, right? All the past papers and all the questions. I selected the questions. So heart එක ගැන කියලා හිතන්න ළමයි. heart එක ගැන තිබ්බ හැම જાතියෙම question ටික අරගෙන ඒ හැම question එකටම හරියන එක answer එකක් ලිව්වා. That's my answer. It includes everything about the heart, the anatomy, physiology, histology, right? From cellular level to the pathological level. වෙනකම්ම ඒකේ එක note එකක් හදාගත්තා. ඒ note එකෙන් with the blanks I make a mind map. I revise the mind map each and every day. ඒ කියන්නේ හිතන්න ළමයි අද මම heart එක ගැන note එකක් හදලා ඒකට mind map එකක් හැදුවා. හෙට මම brain එකේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් කරා කියලා. What I do, I go through the mind maps of the heart, then I start the work today. ඊට පස්සේ තුන්වෙනි දවස කියලා හිතන්න. මම මොකද කරන්නේ? අද වැඩ පටන් ගන්න කලින් first I go through the heart, then through the brain, what mind map එක විතරයි ළමයි. මම හදපු mind map එකේ හිස් තැන් ටික හිතින් පුරවගෙන ගියා. heart එකේ ටික පෙරෙව්වා, brain එකේ ටික පෙරෙව්වා. next day kidney කියලා හිතන්න. I'll make the note of the kidney. Day 4, what I am going to do? I go through the mind map of the heart, I go through the mind map of the brain, I go through the mind map of the kidney, then I'll do my work, today's work. දැන් එහෙම කරාම ඔයගොල්ලෝ හිතන්න මම සතියක් යද්දී heart එක ගැන 7 පාරක් බලනවා. Within 1 month I have gone through the mind maps of the heart for 30 times. ඔයා හිතනවාද ළමයි 30 පාරක් එකම දේ බැලුවට පස්සේ you have to do it again and again each and every day? නෑ ළමයි. You don't have to do it again and again. Then මම ඒවා බැලුවේ සතියකට පාරක් විතරයි ළමයි. එකම දෙක සතියට පාරයි සතියට පාරයි සතියට පාරයි සතියට පාරයි, but at least once a week I'll go through the whole note. එන්න content එකතු වෙන මුල් කාලේ කරපු ටික ආයි ආයි බලන්න ඕනේ නෑ ළමයි. බලන්න විනාඩියක් යන්නෙත් නෑ එතකොට. හරි? එහෙම කරේ මම ෆයිනල් එකේදී. හරි? So I'm the last one who selected the medical faculty. I have failed or repeated some of the exams in medical faculty, but at the final year I found the way to how not to forget things, and I made the mind maps. I may go through the mind maps each and every day. Then I made the topic maps and go through those things each and every day, and I became so my rank was 7, not from the faculty, right? එතකොට අද ලංකාවේ ළමයි final exam එකේ මගේ rank එක 7. That's why I was able to go to Sri Jayawardhanapura Hospital for the internship, right? That's why I'm doing the first appointment in Colombo. I'm working in IDH hospital, right? So all those things are depend on your rank, final exam rank. I'm 7th place, right, in the final exam among all the medical students. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන. So that changed my life, right? I am the cutoff, but at last I am the 7th, right? Mind map is the one which helped me. That's why I am going to teach it to you. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මම මේක හොඳටම කියන්න ළමයි, මේක හොඳට තේරුම් ගන්න. ඔයගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ මම හිටපු තැන. I didn't perform well ළමයි. In second year I have repeated 2 subjects. In third year I have repeated 2 subjects. In fourth year also I have repeated 2 subjects. But finally I became the 7th, passing all the subjects, right? එතකොට ඒක උනේ ළමයි within few months. I made the mind maps. I go through the mind maps each and every day. I didn't let my brain to forget these things. ඒක තමයි ලේසිම ක්‍රමය ළමයි. දැන් ඔයා අද පාඩම කරලා ආයි මාසෙකින් මේ දේවල් ටික බලන්න ගියොත් you have to work hard. You have to work more. ඒ වුණාට අද කරලා ඔයා හෙට මේක බලන්න ගියොත් you will take only 5 minutes. ඒක ආයි අනිද්දාත් බලන්න. It will take only 5 minutes. Right? Then ඒක සති කිහිපයක් බැලුවට පස්සේ you don't have to go through it each and every day. Then once a week. That's all. That's enough. But at least you have to do it once a week. හරිනේ? තේරුණාද? මේක පොඩි දෙයක් නෙමෙයි ළමයි. මේක මේ සරල දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. අද ඉඳන් මේ විදිහට කරොත් ළමයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙන්න ඕනේ මම ෆයිනල් එකේ මාස කිහිපයක් පාඩම් කරලා 7 වෙන්න පුළුවන් වුණා නම් මෙඩිකල් ෆැකල්ටි එකේ A level exam එකේ ඔයා මේ ටික හරියටම කරොත් you will definitely get a rank ළමයි. හරිනේ? මේ මාස 8 හොඳටම ඇති. මට මාස 3යි ගියේ ෆයිනල් එකේ 7 වෙනියා වෙන්න මේ මෙතඩ් එකට. මාස 8ක් හොඳටම ඇති මෙඩිකල් ෆැකල්ටි යන්න ළමයි ඕගොල්ලන්ට. අන්න මාස 8ක් හොඳටම ඇති. But you have to do this. What? You have to revise the things just after the class. You have to write the short note and mind map. You have to go through the mind map each and every day, and you have to go through the drawings and make the topic map. ඔය ටික තමයි අපේ plan එක. Right? අපි මේ plan එකේ යමු ළමයි. මේක තමයි plan එක. Right? Right. Then දැන් ළමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉගෙන ගන්නේ ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වෙන්නනේ. මම මේ ටික අද පළවෙනි දවසේම කියන්නේ ඊට පස්සේ මම ගොඩක් දේවල් වෙන දේවල් කියන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි. ඒතකොට මේ දවසේම ඔයාට මේ plan එකයි අපේ ක්ලාස් එකේ යන විදියයි ඔක්කොම ටික කියලා දානවා. එතකොට මේ විදියට අපි ක්ලාස් එකේ දිගට යනවා. ඒක තමයි වෙන්නේ. Right? So anyway, let's go to the lesson. තව පොඩ්ඩක් තියෙනවා ළමයි දේවල් ටිකක් කියන්න. මම මේ ටික ක්ලාස් එක මැදින් කියන්න. Right. හන්නේ. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ හරි ඒක වෙන්න reason එක මොකද්ද? It's because of your memory and what I'm going to do and what you have to do. Now you know. Right? So let's do this. Right? මම දන්නවා ඔයගොල්ලෝ එහෙම හොඳටම perform කරන ළමයිනුත් ඉන්නවා ඇති රිවයිස් කරගන්න brain එක polish කරගන්න මෙතනට ආපු. ඒ වගේම හොඳට perform කරන්න නැති ළමයිනුත් ඇති. Don't worry ළමයි. I'll teach you from A to Z, right? And I'll revise it for you. I'll give you the short note, I'll give you the mind map. You just have to do these things, right? Right. Okay. So let's begin the lesson. So I'm going to do the class from unit 1 onward, right? So unit 1 එක නම් ලොකු දෙයක් නෑ ළමයි. But questions will be asked, right? MCQ structured disease තියෙනවම තමයි ළමයි unit 1 එකකින්ද. So අපිට unit 1 කියන එක අතහැරලම දාන්න බෑ ළමයි. Right? දැන් මේ 2025 exam එකේ unit 1 එකකින් there were a lot of empty MCQs. So you can't completely forget unit 1, right? එකින්ද අපි unit 1 එකෙන්ම පටන් ගමු ළමයි. Right. Unit 1. What is unit 1? Introduction to biology. Unit 1. What is it? Introduction to biology. Right? Introduction to biology. Unit 1. Introduction to biology. And introduction to biology. Right. So this is unit 1. Right. So first you have to know what is biology. Right? What we do in biology. What is biology? Right? What is biology? So biology is about studying of living organisms. In biology, what we do, we study about living organisms. So in biology, it is studying of living organisms. So that's what we are going to do in biology, right? So then you have to know about the concept of life. What is life? What is life? You have to know the concept of life, right? So the problem is there is no acceptable definition, right? There's no acceptable definition for life. ළමයි දැන් පාඩම පටන් ගන්න වෙන්නේම අපි සිලබස් එක පටන් ගන්නෙම කොහොමද? අපි මේකෙදි life එක ගැන living organisms ගැන ඉගෙන ගන්නවා but we don't know what is life. Right? That's how the biology is started, right? So for biology there is no acceptable definition for life, right? There is no acceptable definition for life, right? So in biology there are three primary branches, right? So in biology there are three primary branches, right? So there are three primary branches. They are, first one is zoology. Zoology, we are going to study about what? In zoology, we are going to study about animals. Then botany. In botany, we are going to study about plants. Then there is microbiology, right? We are going to study about microorganisms. These are the three types of living organisms, right? There are animals, there are plants, and there are microorganisms, right? So these are the three main branches we are going to study in biology, right? Then you have to know about the areas of study. What are the areas of study in biology, right? What are the areas of study in biology? So in biology, we are going to study about cell biology, right? Cell biology. In cell biology, we are going to discuss about cells, right? About cellular structures, how the cell works, what are the structures within the cell, what are the types of cells. We are going to discuss about cell biology. Then we are going to discuss about histology. What is histology? In histology, we are going to discuss about the structure of the tissues, right? How the tissues have made, right? So mainly about tissues, microscopic appearance of the tissues and how the tissues are made. Then we are going to discuss about anatomy. What is anatomy? In anatomy, we are going to discuss about the structures of the organs, structures and positioning of the organs, right? So we are going to discuss about the organs, structures and positioning of organs in anatomy, right? Then physiology. In physiology, we are going to, so in cell biology, we are going to discuss about the cell. So in heart muscle cells, we are going to discuss about heart muscle cell. Then we are going to discuss about the tissue. We are going to discuss about the cardiac muscle, the tissue. Then anatomy, about the organ, the heart, how it, the structures of the heart and the positioning of the heart. Then in physiology, we are going to discuss how the heart works, right? How it functions, right? So about the function and how the process, how it works, right? It is studied in physiology, right? That will be learning physiology. Then microbiology. So not microbiology, it's biochemistry, right? So biochemistry. In biochemistry, we are going to discuss about the chemical component, right? What are the reactions, how those reactions happens, the chemical component, what are the molecules within the body, right? Those things will be discussed in biochemistry. Then genetics, right? We are going to discuss about the genes, how the informations are stored within our body, within the cell, how the informations will be transported to another cell, how the informations will be transported to the next generation. All these things will be discussed in genetics. Then ecology. In ecology, we are going to discuss the relationship between living and non-living things, right? And the interactions between living organisms with living organisms and living organisms with non-living things. Those things we are going to discuss in ecology. So we are in unit 1, introduction to biology. Biology, what is biology? It's a studying of living organisms. So the concept of life, so actually there's no acceptable definition for life, right? So there are 3 primary branches in biology: zoology, botany, and microbiology. In zoology, we are going to discuss about animals. In botany, we are going to discuss about plants. In microbiology, we are going to discuss about microorganisms. Then areas of study, we are going to discuss about cell biology, about cells, histology, about tissues, anatomy, about the structure and positioning, in physiology, about how they function, biochemistry, the chemical component, and genetics and ecology. Those are things we are going to discuss in this unit. Right. Okay, Laman. So, right. So, Laman, I'm going to give you around 10-minute break. So it's 11:40. We'll start the class again at 11:35 now. It's the time. Let's start the class again at 11:45. Right. So take a small break and let's start again. Right. Right. So we are discussing about unit 1, right? Introduction to biology. As I told you, what is biology? It is studying of living organisms, and there's no acceptable definition for life. There are 3 main branches in primary main branches in biology: zoology, botany, and microbiology. And these are the areas we are going to study in biology: cell biology, histology, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and genetics and ecology. Right. Okay. So that's are the initial things, right? That's are the introduction. මේවල ඉතින් ළමයි ලොකුවට එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. දැන් මම එක්ස්ප්ලනේෂන් ලොකුවට කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි. So that's all about biology. Right. Then we are going to discuss about the issues pertaining in biology. Right. Issues pertaining in biology. Pertaining to biology. Right. Issues pertaining to biology. Issues pertaining to biology. Right. There are few things we are going to discuss about the issues pertaining to biology. Right. So the first one. So you have to know things about biological diversity. Right. Biological diversity. right? Biological diversity. In biological diversity, you have to know few things about life. So the life on Earth was formed around 3.5 billion years ago. So you have to remember that fact, right? So the life formed about 3.5 billion years ago. Life formed how many years ago? 3.5 billion years ago. 3.5 billion years ago, right? So the life on Earth formed 3.5 billion years ago, around 3.5 billion years ago, right? Then the first form organism, the first formed organism. So what is the first form organism, right? So how you have to know these things. So the first cell, we call it the protocell. We will discuss these things in unit 3, right? So you have to know that in unit 1 we are going through many things, but we will discuss those things in details in remaining units, right? So the first form organism, we call it the protocell, right? We will discuss those things in unit 3. Okay, the protocell. So as it is the first organism, right? So you know that there are two cellular structures, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Prokaryotic cellular structure means that those cells doesn't have a nucleus, prokaryotes, but eukaryotes have a nucleus and membrane structures. So eukaryotic cellular structure is bit advanced than the prokaryotic cellular structure. So as the first organism, those are simplest organisms, right? So that's the simplest organism. So as the organism is the simplest organism, can they have a eukaryotic cellular structure? No, Lamai. So it's simple. So it should be a prokaryotic organism. So the first form organism is a prokaryote, right? They are prokaryotes. They are prokaryotes. First forms organisms are prokaryotes. Then, in the initial era, right, in Earth's atmosphere is lack of oxygen. In initial days, the Earth's atmosphere had very few amount of oxygen, right? Other than oxygen, there were many other gases, oxides of carbon, oxides of nitrogen, methane, ammonia, and many other gases were there. But there were very little oxygen, right? So the first form organism is anaerobic. Anaerobic means they don't need oxygen for the survival, right? So the first form organism is a prokaryotic anaerobic organism. Prokaryotic and anaerobic. Prokaryotic and anaerobic, right? First form organism is a prokaryotic. So the structure is simpler and anaerobic. Anaerobic means they don't need oxygen. So actually the Earth doesn't have that much of oxygen, right? Okay. Then, so the first form organism, how do they found the nutrition? So you have to know that the first form organism can't produce foods නෙළමයි. The first form organism can't be autotrophic නේ. So autotrophic means it's a complex thing නෙළමයි. The plants are autotrophic. They produce their nutrition. So they produce their sources for energy. Source of energy is they produce by themselves. So that's autotrophic. But the first organism couldn't produce energy sources by themselves. So they have to depend on others or other sources. So they should be heterotrophic, right? The first organism is heterotrophic. It is heterotrophic. So those are the three facts that you have to know about the first formed organisms, right? So we are discussing about the issues pertaining to biology. First, we are going to discuss about biodiversity. So the first life was formed around 3.5 billion years ago. That first organism, which is known as the protocell, it is prokaryotic, anaerobic, heterotrophic organism, right? Right. So, starting from this simple cell, simple protocell, now there's extensive biodiversity in the world. So, how that happens? That happens due to evolution. So, that single, simple, prokaryotic, anaerobic, heterotrophic cell has evolved for millions of years and give rise to this extensive biodiversity. So, due to evolution, there's an extensive biodiversity, right? Due to evolution, there's a extensive biodiversity. Biodiversity, right? So, then, so actually there are around more than 10 to 100 million species, right? There are more than 10 to 100 million species in world, right? There are about around 10 to 100 million species in the world, right? Then there's a relationship between living and non-living things. So, living world and inanimate world has a dynamic relationship, right? So, living world and inanimate world or the non-living world has a dynamic relationship. It has a dynamic relationship. So that's the facts that you have to remember about biodiversity, right? මේවා අහනවා ළමයි. මේවා අපි අහන්නේ නැහැ කියලා හිතුවට MCQs වල අහනවා ළමයි. අපි හිතන්නේ නැති parts අහනවා. ඉතින් අපි ඒක MCQ එකක්වත් මිස් කරගන්න හොඳ නැහැ ළමයි. You have to know, have a idea, you have to have an idea about the exam also, right? So in exam there are 50 MCQs, structures, essay part and essay parts. For structured essays and essays, you will be given marks from 1000 and it will be reduced to 50. So take 1 mark in the exam, you have to get 20 points from structured essay and essay questions. On that this is not easy, right? To score 1 mark in the exam, you have to get 20 points from structured essay or essay question. But to get a 1 mark from MCQs, you just have to have a 1 MCQ. Right? It will give you 1 mark. So the marks from the MCQs are very important, right? Even though you write, so you have to write 20 points to take the marks similar to 1 MCQ. So MCQs are very critical, right? So it will decide your rank. right? So in MCQs, these things will be asked. So in the mind map, where the blanks, there are blanks. So what do they ask for? The question is in the papers or in the MCQs, the places that I put blanks, right? So if you know how to fill the blanks, you will be definitely, it will be very easy to write MCQ paper, right? So answer the MCQ paper. So issues pertaining to biology, biological diversity, the life formed around 3.5 billion years ago. The first form organism is a prokaryotic, anaerobic and heterotrophic organism. Due to evolution, extensive biodiversity happens. Actually now there are more than 10 to 100 million species, right? So there's a dynamic relationship between living and non-living inanimate world, right? Then the next issue which is pertaining to biology is the human body and its function, right? So human body and its function. Body and its function. Human body and its function. To understand about the human body and its functions, you have to study histology and human anatomy. So you can understand about human body and functions by studying histology and human anatomy, right? So you can understand about the body and its function by studying about histology and anatomy, right? So biological diversity, the life is formed around 3.5 billion years ago. The first formed organism is heterotrophic, prokaryotic, anaerobic organism. Due to the evolution, there are extensive biodiversity. So there are more than 10 to 100 million species. There's a dynamic relationship between living and non-living world. Then to understand about the body and its function, you have to study histology and anatomy, right? The third one, sustainable use and management of natural resources and environment. Sustainable use and management of natural resources and environment, right? So what is the meaning of this sustainable use, right? So okay, so sustainable use and management of natural resources and environment. Sustainable use of natural resources and environment, right? Sustainable use of natural resources and environment. First, you have to know what is the meaning of these natural resources. So what are these natural resources, right? What are these natural resources? What are these natural resources? What is the meaning of natural resources? Right? Natural resources are the sources of material and energy. So natural resources. What are natural resources? They are the sources. Right? They are the sources of material and energy. They are the sources of material and energy. They are the sources of material and energy found naturally, right? So these are natural resources. So you have to emphasize the meaning of natural. So these are the sources of materials and energy found naturally. So the material and energy found naturally, right? These are the sources of materials and energy found naturally, and they are used in everyday life and for the economic development, right? Used in either for everyday life or for economical development, right? Economical development, right? So if you have asked the question what are natural resources, you have to write all these facts. You will get full marks, right? What is a natural resource? What are natural resources? They are the sources of material and energy found naturally, which are used in everyday life and economical development. For everyday life and for economical development. So these are the natural resources. Natural resources are the sources of material and energy, right? Which can be found naturally and used in everyday life for economical development. So these natural resources are limited, right? These natural resources are very limited. They are limited. Why do they limited? These natural resources are limited. For example, for energy, we take fossil fuel, right? So it is limited. It won't be there forever, right? So most of the natural resources are limited. Most of these materials are limited, right? Right. And these natural resources are reducing very fast due to the increment of the growth rate. So in humans, growth rate is increasing. Growth rate is increasing rapidly, right? Growth rate is increasing rapid, right? So when the growth rate is high, so there'll be overuse of there'll be overuse of natural resources. So due to the overuse of natural resources, the natural resources will be depleted. Right. So the natural resources will be reduced. So that's why natural resources are limited. So due to the limitations of natural resources and the growth rate is increasing. So for that, due to that reason, they are so overused. So the natural resources will depleted. Right? ළමයි මේක අපි හිතුවට මේක එච්චර ලොකු දෙයක් නෙමෙයි කියලා මේකත් MCQ එකක් අහලා තිබ්බ ළමයි. Right? මේ growth rate එක so what makes the depletion of natural resources? There were many answers and the growth rate is the correct answer. Increment of the growth rate. Right? Right. So due to this overuse or the overexplosion, so there are environmental problems, right? Due to this overuse of natural resources or overexploitation. Right? due to overexploitation of these natural resources, there are environmental problems. There are few environmental problems. ළමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝට තේරෙන්න ඕනේ මේ නෝට් එක දෙන විදිය බලන්න ළමයි මේ they are flow charts. මේ ටිකම තියෙනවා ළමයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ resource book එකේ in a paragraph. So when they are in a paragraph you can't, it is difficult to remember. දැන් බලන්න මේ what are natural resources? I have divided the definition of natural resources into many parts, right? They are sources of materials and energy found naturally, which are used in everyday life for economic development. ලේසි ළමයි නේ මේ කැලි දෙක තුනකට කඩාගත්තම ලේසි මතක තියාගන්න. That's why I'm dividing these things. That's why I make flow charts, right? So due to the increment of the growth rate, make the overuse of resources happen and natural resources will depleted. And due to overexploitation, environmental problems will arise. What are the environmental problems that can be arise due to overexploitation of these natural resources? One is environmental pollution. So pollution. ළමයි මේ පාඩමේ ඉතින් මට එහෙම ලොකුවට පැහැදිලි කර ඉන්න දෙයක් නෑ. ඒකයි මම මේ යන්නේ හොඳේ. So then loss of biodiversity. Loss of biodiversity. Then the third one, desertification. Desertification. Due to overexplosion, there will be environmental pollution, there will be loss of biodiversity, and there will be desertification, right? Many of the plants will be cut off, right? So it will make deserts. So that's desertification, right? So now we are discussing about, we are in unit 1, we are discussed about introduction to biology, right? In introduction biology is the study of living organisms, but there's no acceptable definition for life. There are three main primary branches: zoology, botany, and anatomy. Sorry, zoology, botany, and microbiology. And there are some areas we are going to study during these units, right? In this syllabus, we are going to know about cell biology. We are going to know about histology. We are going to know about anatomy. We are going to know about physiology. We are going to know about biochemistry, genetics, and ecology, right? Then we came to issues pertaining to biology. First, we discussed that about the biodiversity. The first organism was found around 3.5 billion years ago. That first form organism was a prokaryotic, anaerobic, heterotrophic organism, right? So due to evolution, there are extensive biodiversity, right? So there are more than 10 to 100 million species in world, right? There's a dynamic relationship between inanimate world and the living organisms. Then to study about the human body and function, you have to study about histology and anatomy. Then we discuss about the sustainable use of natural resources and environment. So what are natural resources? They are the sources of material and energy that can be found naturally, and they are used in everyday life for the environment development. So these natural resources are limited, right? Due to the increment of the growth rate, overuse happen and natural resources are depleted, right? So due to overexploitation, there are problems. There are environmental pollution, there are loss of biodiversity, there is desertification, right? Those are the things that we have discussed up to now, right? Okay. So, right, Lama. So give me a minute, Lama. Give me a minute. I'll be back. Okay. So issues pertaining to biology. We discussed about natural sustainable use of natural resources and environment. Then the next one, sustainable food production. So sustainable food production. ළමයි අපි මේ හිතන්න නැති ඒවා question වලට අහනවා ළමයි. So there were a question in 2024 A level exam about sustainable food production, right, in structured disease. So you have to know this unit one ළමයි, right? අපි මුලින් ඉඳන් යම් බය වෙන්න එපා. ඔයා මෙච්චර කල් වැඩ කරලා නැත්නම් පොඩ්ඩක්වත් බය වෙන්න එපා ළමයි. හරිනේ? අද ඉඳන් මේ ටික කරගෙන යන්න. මොකක්ද ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරන්න ඕනේ? මේක ගෙදර යද්දී ආයේ එකපාරක් මතක් කරගන්න. ක්ලාස් ඉවරෙච්ච ගමන් එකපාරක් මතක් කරගන්න ඕනේ. ඊට පස්සේ මයින්ඩ් මැප් එකයි ෂෝට් නෝට් එකයි ලියන්න ඕනේ. ලියලා මට ෆොටෝස් එවන්න ඕනේ. හරිනේ? නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ලියනවාද කියලා මම බලන්න එපානේ. නැත්නම් වැඩක් නැහැ නේ මේ. There should be interaction, right? Mainly for the online student. Physical students are okay now. Physical students anyway, I'm seeing them. I can see whether they know. When I ask questions, I can guess whether they have studied those things or not. Then I can refer the notes also. Go through the notes also. But mainly for the online students, you have to do what I am going to tell you, right? So you have to do exactly what I am telling you, right? You have to go through the note, write the short note and mind map, and go through the mind map. That's all, right? Other things we'll discuss later. My topic map හදන්නේ ඔය පස්සේ කතා, right? So අර ටික කරන්න ඕනේ අනිවාර්යෙන්. අද ඉඳන් පටන් ගමු ළමයි. බය වෙන්න එපා. මේකේ එකක් ගන්න එකේ එහෙම මහලුකු අමාරුවක් නැහැ. මේ තියෙන්නේ ප්‍රශ්න ටික ඔයගොල්ලෝ අඳුර ගන්න. ඔයාලට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ මොකද්ද? කන්ටෙන්ට් එක වැඩි, කන්ටෙන්ට් එක අමතක වෙනවා. අපි මොකද්ද කරන්නේ එහෙනම්? කන්ටෙන්ට් එක වැඩි. ඒක පිළිගන්නවා. ඒක මම කියලා දෙන්නම්. A to Z I'll teach you. But you have to work. ඔයා වැඩ කරලා ඔයා මේක අමතක වෙන්න නොදී තියාගන්න ඕනේ ඔළුවේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේක දුවන්න බෑ ළමයි. හරිද? ඒක තේරුම් ගන්න. Right. Then about sustainable food production. Sustainable food production. Sustainable food production. Right? What is the meaning of sustainable food production? What is sustainable food production? What is sustainable food production? Sustainable food production is production of sufficient amount of food, right? Production of sufficient amount of food for a human population, right? Using environmentally safe methods, right? So production of, what is sustainable food production? Production of, right? Production of sufficient amount of food, right? Production of sufficient amount of food for human population, right? So production of sufficient amount of food for human population. But this is food production. What is sustainable food production? Sustainable food production is production of sufficient amount of food for human population using environmentally safe methods. So that's the sustainability. Using environmental, right? Using environmentally safe methods. Using environmentally safe methods. So that's is sustainable food production. What is sustainable food production? Production of sufficient amount of food production කිව්ව ගමන් ළමයි කෑම හදන එකනේ. Sustainable කිව්වම ඔක වැඩි වෙනසක් තියෙනවා. There should be sufficient amount of food, and those food should be made by using environmentally friendly methods, right? Safe methods, right? So production of sufficient amount for food for human population using environmentally safe methods. That's sustainable food production. So you have to know that there are around 7 billion humans in the world. So the human population in world is around 7 billion, right? So the human population is around 7 billion. So, and we are guessing, right? Scientists are guessing that this amount will be double in 40 years. This will be doubled in 40 years, right? Then will become 14 billion in 40 years, right? So you have to use sustainable food productions to produce sufficient amount of food using environmentally safe methods, right? There are methods of sustainable food production. You have to know those methods. This is the question which was asked in 2024 in structured basic. What are the methods of sustainable food production? Right, there are 3 methods. So you have to know this. Sustainable food production. We have to produce foods which are enough, which should be sufficient, and we should use environmentally friendly methods or safe methods. So there are 3 methods of sustainable food production. First one is we have to make sufficient amount of food nilamai. So we can use, right, high yield varieties of plants and animals. We can use high yield varieties of plants and animals. So තේරුම් ගන්න එපා ළමයි දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ අඹ හදනවා නම් අඹ ගහක් තියනවා නම්, right? So that mango tree should have enough mango නේ. So this mango tree should have lot of mango. So it should be high yield variety of mango, right? Right, that's high yield variety of plants and animals. One is that for the sustainable food production, methods of sustainable food production. Then, so even though these this mango tree will give lot of mangoes, if this tree is more prone to get diseases, what will happen? Definitely the yield will reduce and the plant won't produce that much yield or mangoes, right? So you have to form or you have to give a high yield, and these plants or animals should be disease resistant. So when we use disease resistant plants and animals, you can protect the plants and you can take more yield, right? So the second method is disease resistant plants and animals. So these plants and animals should be disease resistant. They should be disease resistant. So these plants have protective shields, right? So this is disease resistant. Diseases can't kill this plant, right? Disease resistant. So first one is high yield varieties of plants and animals, then disease resistant plants and animals. Then improving post harvest technology. The next one is improve post harvest technology. What is the meaning of post harvest technology? ඔගොල්ලෝ දන්නවද ළමයි දැන් අපි දැන් ගම් වතුරක් ආවනේ. දැන් අපි ආහාර කෑම බීම ගොඩක් ಜಾති නැති වුණානේ දැන් පළතුරු වල. So those will damage නේ ළමයි. Right? ඒ වුණාට ඔගොල්ලෝ දන්නවද ඇත්තටම වැඩියෙන්ම පළතුරු එළවලු food waste වෙන්නේ post harvest කියලා. Right? අපි දන්නවනේ දැන් කැලේට සත්තු ඇවිල්ලා කෑම කනවා. දැන් පළතුරු වගාවක් තියෙන සත්තු වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අලි එන්න පුළුවන්. ප්‍රශ්න ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකට විනාශයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් ලංකාවෙම ගත්තොත් එහෙම අලි එන නිසා ලෙඩ රෝග හැදෙන නිසා right එහෙම නිසා ලොකු ප්‍රමාණයක් ආහාර නැති වෙනවා තමයි right but more than that we lose food we waste food post harvest right post harvest mean after harvesting so ඔගොල්ලෝ ගිහිල්ලා බලන ළමයි දබුල්ලේ ළමයි යදින්නේ හිටකොට වෙනින් මාකට් එකේ උනන් දැන් තියෙන්නේ නම් පැලියකොටද කොහෙද right එහෙම ගියාම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පේන ළමයි කොච්චර foods ප්‍රමාණයක් waste වෙනවද කියලා post harvest so our people don't have good post harvest technologies mainly in Sri Lanka කොහෙද ළමයි ඔය ලෝල් ටික දාන්නේ නිකන් ගෝණි වල දාලා ලෝරි වලට පටවල එවනවා භාගයක් තැලෙනවා භාගයක් සවුත් වෙලා යනවා අනිත් එක we doesn't have a proper plan to deliver those foods to the customer අපි මෙහෙම දඹුල්ලට ගිහිල්ලා ලෝල් ටික දැම්මට දඹුල්ලෙන් ඔක්කොම ටික යන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි එහාට. කස්ටමර් වෙනකන් යන්නේ නැහැ. ගොඩක් ඒවා නාස්ති වෙලා යනවා. දඹුල්ලි ඉතුරු වෙනවා. තේරුණාද? That's post harvest wasting. හරි? So, we have to improve post harvest technologies. කඩපු පැල ටික, harvest කරපු දේවල් ටික we have to deliver it to the population. Right? Without harming those things. Without wasting those things. So there should be good post-harvest technology. So these mangoes should be brought to the customers, right? So safely. So we have to improve post-harvest technologies. දෙක ළමයි අර එකපාරක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ මතකද දන්නේ ගෝණි ටික අයින් කරලා අනිවාර්ය කරා ළමයි කූඩ ප්ලාස්ටික් කේසස් ඕනේ අනිවාර්යෙන්ම පළතුරු එළවලු හෙට මෙහෙට ගෙනනවා නම් කියලා ගෙනාවා. හැබැයි ඉතින් ළමයි ඒක උන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි. Right? So if that happens we can save lot of food. Right? And in developed countries they have improved these three aspects. They have formed right high yield varieties of plants and animals right they have formed disease resistant varieties of plants and animals and they have improved their post harvest technology and they don't waste their foods right these are the three methods of sustainable food production these are the three methods of sustainable food production right so up to now we have discussed about introduction to biology what is biology studying of living organisms then concept of life there are no accepted definition for life right there are three primary branches zoology botany and microbiology and there are many areas cell biology histology anatomy physiology biochemistry genetics and ecology then we discuss about issues pertaining to biology first one was biological diversity first living organism was formed around 3.5 billion years ago they are prokaryotic heterotrophic and anaerobic organism due to evolution there are extensive biodiversity around 10 to 100 more than 10 to 100 millions of species and there's a dynamic relationship between living world and inanimate world then to study about human body and its function you have to know about histology and anatomy then we discuss about sustainable use and management of natural resources and environment what are natural resources they are the sources of material or energy found naturally and used in everyday life for economical development. So these natural resources are limited. So due to increase of the growth rate, there is a overuse and it will reduce the amount of natural resources, right? So the overexploitation causes environmental problems like environmental pollution, loss of biodiversity and desertification. Then we discuss about sustainable food production. So production of food. What is sustainable food production? It is production of sufficient amount of food for human population using environmentally safe methods, right? There are around 7 billion humans in the world. It will be doubled in next 40 years, right? So there are methods for sustainable food production. There are three methods: high yield providing high yield varieties of plants and animals, high disease resistant varieties of plants and animals, and improve post harvesting technology, right? Okay, then about plant life, right? Plant life. So you have to know about plants also. Plant life. Plant life. So plants are the primary producers. They are the primary producers. They are the primary producers. They produce food. So all the animals depend directly or indirectly on plants, right? So all the animals, right? All animals all the animals depend on plants, either directly or indirectly. All the animals depend on plants, either directly or indirectly. Right. Then let's discuss about diseases and causes. So issues pertaining biology, the next issue is diseases and causes for those diseases. Right. The next issue pertaining to biology is diseases and right causes. So that knowledge is needed to maintain a healthy life, right? This knowledge about diseases and causes is important to maintain a healthy life. To maintain a healthy life, right? Right. So there are types of diseases. There are non-communicable diseases. And there are communicable diseases. So what are non-communicable diseases and what are communicable diseases? Non-communicable diseases means those diseases don't spread from human to human or animal to human. So we won't get those diseases from another organism, right? Those are non-communicable diseases. What are the more common non-communicable diseases? So there are some serious non-communicable diseases. What are they? Cancers are non-communicable. Cancers won't spread from person to person, right? Then heart diseases, ischemic heart disease or heart diseases, they are non-communicable. You can't get a heart disease from another person or another animal, from another organism, right? Then diabetes is the main killer. Diabetes mellitus, DEM, diabetic mellitus. Then it's one of the main killers. Then chronic kidney disease, CKD, chronic kidney disease. So these are non-communicable diseases. There are some serious non-communicable diseases. So cancer can kill you, heart diseases can kill you, diabetic mellitus can kill you, CKD or chronic kidney disease can kill you. So there are some serious communicable diseases also. One is dengue, a main killer, right? Dengue. Then there is AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, AIDS. And these days, so මේක ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැන් වතුරට අහුවෙච්ච ළමයි ඉන්නවනම් මේක තේරුම් ගන්න ළමයි. දැන් ඉන්නවනේ සමහර ළමයි නේ අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම leptospirosis වලට තියෙන prophylaxis එක ගන්න ළමයි. What is leptospirosis මේ උන කියන්නේ ළමයි? That will be spreading by rats. So leptospirosis, it's also life threatening. Leptospirosis, right? It is also life threatening. So dengue is one of the major killer. So what is the recent most non-communicable disease we had? COVID. It's a communicable disease, right? It's a communicable disease. Actually, I told you that I work in what? Where? National Institute of Infectious Diseases. It is actually a hospital which is dedicated for these communicable diseases. So we are the ones who manage in dengue. We have a separate dengue ward. Most of the patients who can't manage in other hospitals are sent to us, and complicated dengue patients, bad patients, right? So normal dengue patients can be managed in many hospitals, but complicated patients will be sent to us. HIV, we are the one who managing HIV in Colombo. There are special clinics and we are the ones who managing these patients. Leptospirosis and COVID also, you already know like COVID කාලේ මතකනේ කොයි වෙලාවෙත් කියන IDH hospital කියන, right? So we are the ones who managing these communicable diseases. So you have to know about these few things about these communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases. ඔගොල්ලන්ට හිතන්නේ ළමයි, what is the main killer? Communicable or non-communicable diseases? What is the main killer? Communicable disease වලින්ද වැඩියෙන් මැරෙන්නේ non-communicable disease වලින්. And non-communicable disease වලින්. Communicable diseases are not the major killer, right? You have to know that. Okay. Then the last issue pertaining to biology is solving legal and ethical issues. So we can use biology to solve legal and ethical issues. To solve legal and ethical issues. So for that we use DNA printing technology. So for that we use DNA fingerprinting. We're going to discuss about these things in genetics and molecular biology, right? So DNA fingerprinting means, so it's like a fingerprint. So your fingerprint is unique to you. Like that, the base sequence of your DNA is unique to you, right? So that can be used to solve legal and ethical issues which happened in society. So solving legal and ethical issues, use DNA fingerprinting, right? Right. So then we're going to what is DNA fingerprinting. So DNA fingerprinting means you have your DNA is identical to you, and your DNA is, right, very much close to your parents' DNA, right? So we'll discuss these things later. So DNA means nucleic acid, your chromosomes, or the data that is about all the informations, right, about you are stored in those DNAs, right? So this DNA fingerprinting is used to solve problems. So problems like parental parentage parentage testing, right? Used to parentage testing. ඔගොල්ලෝ දන්නවද නැද්ද කියලා නම් දන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි. So the first දැන් දන්නවනේ parentage testing වලට ගන්නවා කියලානේ DNA. මේ දවස්වලත් යනවනේ ළමයි ක්‍රිකට් කෙනෙක්ගේ ප්‍රශ්නකුත් යනවනේ. ඔය වගේ ළමයි අපේ tsunami වෙලාවේ there was a issue. So there's a little girl who survived from tsunami, right, in 2004. So she was brought to the police, and two mother and a father came to the police and told that this is our daughter, we are going to take her, right? So the child is very small, so child can't tell who the exact mother and father. And there's another couple who came and told that that child is ours. So that's a big issue, right? There's a child, right, who were caught into the tsunami and survived, and there are two sets of parents who are coming and asking for that child, telling that that child is ours. So that's that time. So in those era, this DNA fingerprinting was not used that much in Sri Lanka, but for that legal problem, they have used DNA fingerprinting technology and found the exact mother and father and give that child to them, right? So that's one of the famous legal dispute which was solved by DNA fingerprinting in Sri Lanka, right? Right. Then this DNA fingerprinting also can be used to criminal investigation. Can be used to for criminal investigations. So what is the meaning of criminal investigation? So just think, if you somebody kills somebody, කාවරි මරන්නේ නෑ. හරි. මරන්න හරි මොනවා හරි කරන්නාම ඒ මිනිස්සයා මෙහෙම හූරපු පාරක නියපොත්තේ මේ හැමේ skin cells will be remaining in your fingernails. You will die, right? When police come and found that skin parts in their fingernails from another person, what can they do? They can take the DNA fingerprint or use DNA fingerprinting to identify the criminal, right? ඒ කියන්නේ මෙහෙමයි ළමයි, දැන් ඔයාට DNA part එකක් තිබ්බ කියලා ඔයාට criminal එක එකපාර හොයාගන්න බෑ ළමයි. There's no system that putting that part into a machine and it will give you the details of that person. That won't happen. What happens is, if they got the sample, they can match it with the suspect. So if you have some suspects, you can compare those DNAs with the suspect's DNA and you can find the suspect, right? So they don't, so DNA fingerprinting, even a small, very small single cell is enough, right? So sometimes they use hair follicles, sometimes they use semen, sometimes they use cell parts, skin parts, many things, even saliva, right? It will contain mucus, right? Mucus cells. So even from saliva they can find out the criminal, right? Then sometimes to solve immigration disputes, we can use DNA fingerprinting to solve immigration disputes. What is the meaning of solving immigration disputes? Immigration disputes means lamai, then so you immigrate, so that problem is not in Sri Lanka lamai that much. So you are a international criminal, right? Pablo Escobar, okay? International criminal. You will do many plastic surgeries and you change your face and you go to another country. even you live in that country, they can identify your actual birthplace and your relationship, right? So to your population. So in our DNA, there are sequences that are common to Asians, common to Sri Lankans, right? So those things are not common to Japanese. Those things are not common to Africans. So your ethnicity can be identified using DNA fingerprinting, right? Right. So to solve immigration disputes, also they use DNA fingerprinting, right? So that මේ දවස්වල තියෙනවා ළමයිනේ මේ US වල එම් ප්‍රශ්නනේ anti-immigration processes මේ protests තියෙනවන්නේ කට්ටිය වෙලවනවනේ. So for that is there any immigration dispute, you can use DNA technology, DNA fingerprinting to confirm, right? So that's all about the problems or issues pertaining to biology. So what were the issues pertaining to biology? We discussed few things. First one is biological diversity. Life formed around 3.5 billion years ago. First form organism is prokaryotic, anaerobic, heterotrophic organism. Due to evolution, there is extensive biodiversity. There are more than 10 to 100 million species, and there is a dynamic relationship between living world and inanimate world, right? Then to study about human body and its function by studying about histology and anatomy, right? Then sustainable use of use and management of natural resources and environment. What are natural resources? They are the sources of materials and energy which can found naturally, which are used in everyday life for economic development. So they are limited due to increase the growth rate, right? Increment of the growth rate, or due to the overuse, the natural resources are depleting. So due to overexploitation, there are many problems, right? Environmental problems, environmental pollution, loss of biodiversity and desertification. Then sustainable food production. What is the meaning of sustainable food production? Production of sufficient amount of food for a population using environmental safe methods, right? So human population is around 7 billion. It will be doubled within next 40 years. What are the methods of sustainable food production? You can have high yield varieties of plants and animals, then disease resistant varieties of plants and animals, then what else? Then improve post harvesting technologies. Then we discuss about plant life. Also, plant are the primary producers. All the animals depend directly or indirectly on plants, right? So then we discuss about diseases and causes. You have to know about this knowledge about diseases and causes will help you to have a healthy life. There are communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases. The cancers, diabetic mellitus, heart diseases, chronic kidney diseases, those are severe, serious, non-communicable diseases. Cancers, HIV, COVID, and there are other, dengue, COVID, leptospirosis, HIV, those are serious communicable diseases. Then we discuss that there are solving legal and ethical issues by using DNA fingerprinting. We can do parentage testing, criminal investigation, and we can solve immigration disputes using these methods, right? Using DNA fingerprinting, right? There are a few more things to discuss in unit 1, right? Then ඔයගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් ගන්න හොඳේ මේ ටික අල්ලගෙන යන්න ඕන. ඊළඟ ළමයි මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා කියපු නැති දේවල් පොඩ්ඩක් තිබ්බා. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ආයි මතක් කරන්න ඕනේ. So දැන් අපි මේ plan එක මොකටද ළමයි? මම කියන්නේ ළමයි you have to have a dream. Right? You have to have a dream, right? Without a dream anything won't happen. දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ ළමයි මේ සම ගොඩක් බහුතරයක් කට්ටිය. Most of you are doing biology to be selected to medical faculty and become a doctor. නේ? දැන් සමහර වෙලාවට දැන් මේ සමාජයේ පොඩි කතාවක් යනවා ළමයි ඩොක්ටර්ස්ලා එච්චරම ඕනේ නැහැ වගේ නිකන් එක. නේ? ඩොක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වුණාට මොකද්ද තියෙන වැඩේ? සමහර වෙලාවට එහෙම හිතෙන්න පුළුවන් ළමයි නේ ඩොක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වුණා කියලා එහෙම දැන් ලංකාවේම ලොකු සැලරි එකක් හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ පිටරට වගේ නේ. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට උනත් හිතෙන්න පුළුවන් මොකටද මම ඩොක්ටර් කෙනෙක්ම වෙනවද? සමහර ලාවට ළමයි දැන් ළමයි නේ රිසල්ට් තිබිලත් මෙඩිකල් ෆැකල්ටි යන්න සමහර ලාවට ඒකට නොයා ඉන්න chance එකක් පොඩි ට්‍රෙන්ඩ් එකක් එක ළමයෙක්ගේ දෙන්නෙක්ගේ හරි තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? So, why you should become a doctor? What are the advantages of being a doctor? මම එකම එක දෙයක් කියන්නම් ළමයි මම මේක කිව්වොත් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙයි මොනවාද advantages of being a doctor කියලා, right? So, my mother, right? එක දවසක් අපේ ගෙදර ඉඳිද්දි මම හිටියේ ක්වාටර්ස් වලම ඉන්නේ ඩොක්ටර්ස් ක්වාටර්ස් IDH එකේ. එතකොට මීටර් 100ක්වත් නෑ ළමයි හොස්පිටල් එකේ ඉඳන්. So, she had hair dye, right? She had a hair dye. hair dye එකක් ගගා හිටියා පැය භාගයකට විතර කලින් මම දැක්කා. මම යාළුවෝ ටිකක් එනකන් හිටියේ ගමනක් යන්න බලාගෙන. පැය කාලයකට විතර පස්සේ she's having wheezing. මට වෙනද wheezing එක නෙමෙයි severe wheezing එක rapid ආවා. So that can't happen ළමයි. So wheezing is if it is rapid so it's alarming, right? So wheezing is very rapid, right? While she was bathing. It was severe wheezing. I put her into the car. Give me a second ළමයි. wheezing, right? මම වාහනයට දාගෙන ළමයි විනාඩි දෙකක් යන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි වාහනේ ඉඳන් හොස්පිටල් එකට යන්න. Her respiration was arrested. Arrested means she stopped breathing, right? Then I put her into the trolley and run towards the PCU where I work actually. It's the emergency department, right? So I put her into the bed and found that her heart also stopped. That's my mother නේ ළමයි දැන් අම්මා මෙහෙම හිටියා හොඳට මාත් එක්ක විහිළු කර කර එහා ඩයි ගගා හිටියා මාත් මොකද්ද විහිළුවක් කරගෙන ගියා ගෙදරට ගිහිල්ලා විනාඩි 15කින් බලද්දි හොඳටම වීසි වාහනයට දාගෙන එළියට යන්න හම්බුන්නේ නැහැ respiratory arrest at the hospital cardiac arrest, right? She's not breathing, her heart was not working. එතකොට ළමයි මේ වගේ වෙලාවට ඒ වෙලාවේ මම්මයි බෙඩ් එකට දැම්මේ මම්ම CPR පටන් ගත්තා you know that chest compressions. So I give the CPRs and my brain is working. What the cause? Then we have to find the cause. So then I rapidly understood that should be a allergic reaction. So for allergy reaction, it makes what happens when you got allergy reaction. So your internal pathways, mainly the respiratory pathway, become swollen. When it is swollen, what happens? Your respiratory tract will be right. Your respiratory tract will be closed, right? මෙහෙම swollen වෙලා මේක block වෙන්න පුළුවන්, obstruct වෙන්න පුළුවන්. So that what happened, right? Severe wheezing due to the edema or swelling of the respiratory tract mucosa, respiratory mucosa. Then she got respiratory arrest due to collapse, right? Then when there's no oxygen, your heart will anyway stop, right? So that have to be that decision should be made within seconds, right? Within seconds, you can't delay. So I asked to give the drug of choice is adrenaline. I rapidly asked to give adrenaline and I give chest compressions. Other doctors also rushed to the place and what happens with the within 1 minute of resuscitation, she developed again, started her heart started to beat and she started to breathe. And that's my mother නේ ළමයි. දැන් ඔයා හිතන්න මම ඩොක්ටර් කෙනෙක් නොවුනා නම් එතන මට තේරුණා මේක ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් කියලා මම ටක් ගාලා වාහනයට දාගෙන විනාඩියක් ඇතුළත අරන් ගියේ ඒකයි. හරි. ඒ මම ඩොක්ටර් කෙනෙක් නිසා. හරි. ඊළඟට මම්ම තමයි PCU එකට මම ඇඩ්මිට් කරන්න මොකුත් කතාවක් නැහැ. මම කෙලින්ම ට්‍රොලියට දාගත්තා. මම්ම තල්ලු කරන් ගියා පිස්සු එකට. දැම්ම බෙඩ් එකට heart එක බැලුවා. මම්ම පටන් ගත්ත chest compression. That's so the down time is very low. down time එකේ තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ. අර arrest වෙච්ච වෙලේ ඉඳන් ආයි recover කරගන්න යන වෙලාව ලොකු වුණොත් ළමයි the damage is more. It down time was less than 1 minute, right? So I have diagnosed the cause for the problem and I have give the I asked them to give the drug also. Yeah, right? එතකොට දැන් මම ඩොක්ටර් කෙනෙක් නොවුනා නම් හරිනේ. ඩොක්ටර් කෙනෙක් නොවුනා නම් ඔය දේවල් ටික ඔය විදියට වෙන්නේ නෑ ළම. ඒ දේවල් ටික ඒ විදියට නොවුනා නම් අද මට අම්මත් නෑ ළම. හරිනේ. ලොකු වයසක් නෑ ළමයා අපේ අම්මට. ලොකු වයසක කෙනෙක් නෙමෙයි මේ 62 විතර තමයි ඔය ප්‍රශ්නේ උනේ. හරිනේ. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් ගන්න. දැන් එතකොට කවුරු හරි කියනවා නම් මෙඩිසින් කරන එක ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වෙන එක කිසිම වැඩක් නැහැ සල්ලි හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ වගේ එකක්. සල්ලි නෙමෙයි ළමයි ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් කියන්නේ. මෙඩිසින් කියන්නේ සල්ලි නෙමෙයි. සල්ලි වලට ඒක ගන්න බෑ ළමයි. ඔයා හිතන්න ළමයි දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ පවුලේ ෆැමිලි එකේ ડોක්ටර්ස්ලා ඉන්නවා ඇති. එහෙම නැති කෙනෙක් කියලා හිතන්න ළමයි. ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් ෆැමිලි එකේ ඉන්නවා කියන්නේ ළමයි මුළු ෆැමිලි එකටම හයියක්. ඒක එහෙම තමයි. අනේ ඔයා ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් නම් දැන් ළමයි ඩොක්ටර් කෙනෙක් ගෙදර ඉන්නවා. දැන් ප්‍රශ්නේ මොකද්ද ළමයි? ලෙඩක් වුණොත් ඩොක්ටර් කෙනෙක් ඉන්නේ ගෙදර නම් ප්‍රශ්න වලින් භාගයක් විසඳිලා ළමයි එතන ලෙඩ පෙළති. හරි. ඉතින් මේ ඩොක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වෙන එක ළමයි සල්ලිම නෙමෙයි. හරි. සල්ලි හම්බ කරන්න පුළුවන් හොඳේ. සල්ලි හම්බ කරන්න බැරි කමක් නැහැ. හරියට වැඩේ කරලා ඒකෙන් දැන් මේමනේ ළමයි. වා කොච්චර ලොකු වැඩක් කරත් ඔයාගේ දක්ෂතාවය අනුවනේ ඔයාට සල්ලි හම්බ කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. ඔයා ඩොක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වුණත් කම්මැලිකමේ පැත්ත කරලා හිටියොත් ඔයාට සල්ලි හොයන්න බෑ ළමයි. ඔයා ඒ සල්ලි හම්බ කරන එක depend. Right? It's depend on your effort and your productivity නේ. Right? So මම කිව්වේ ඒකයි ළමයි දැන් මේ ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වෙනවා කියන එක එහෙම සෑහෙන වටින දෙයක්. මං කිව්වේ එක හේතුවක් විතරයි ළමයි. ඒ වගේ තව හේතු ඕන තරම් තියෙනවා ඔයාට තියෙන මේ ලංකාවේ ඇතුළේ විශේෂයෙන් ලොකු පිළිගැනීමක් තියෙනවා ළමයි. right? එතකොට ඒකට ඔයා ඉන්නේ දැන් මාස 8ක් පස්සේ. ඒක තේරුම් ගන්න. හරි? මම කියන්නේ ඒකක් ගන්න එක එහෙම අමාරු වැඩක් නෙමෙයි බයොලොජි වලට. බයොලොජි වලට ඒකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් ළමයා කියන්නේ කෙමිස්ට්‍රි ෆිසික්ස් වලට කොහොමද ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා. හරිනේ? ඒක හරියට මම කියලා දෙන්නම් ළමයි. මේ ටෙක්නික් එකම කෙමිස්ට්‍රි වලට යූස් කරන්න පුළුවන්. මේ ටෙක්නික් එකම ෆිසික්ස් වලට යූස් කරන්න පුළුවන්. මම මේක කියලා දෙන්නම්. හරිනේ? ඒතකොට ඕගොල්ලෝ මේක කරගෙන යන්න. හරිනේ? ඩොක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අනිත් දේ තමයි ළමයි you should dream it. right? Without dreaming it දැන් මම කිව්වේ ළමයි දැන් මම කිව්වනේ කරන්න ඕනේ දේවල් ටික. දැන් ওই ටික ඕගොල්ලෝ කරයි ළමයි. දැන් අද කරයි. මේ සතියේ කරයි. ඊළඟ සතියේ කරයි. මාසයක් කරයි. ඊට පස්සේ ආයි ඕගොල්ලෝ අර පුරුදු පත්වයටපත් වෙනවා. දැන් ළමයි එහෙමනේ දැන් මේ දෙසැම්බර්නේ. දැන් අලුත් මාසයක් පටන් ගන්න අලුත් අවුරුද්දක් පටන් ගන්න යන්නේ. එතකොට අපි ගැම්මෙන් වැඩ කරනවා කියලා දැන් ජිම් එකක් කියලා හිතන්නකෝ. ජිම් එකක් නම් කරන්නේ හැම ජිම් එකකම වැඩියෙන්ම සෙනඟ වැඩියෙන් රෙජිස්ටර් වෙන්නේ ළමයි ජනවාරි ෆෙබ්‍රුවරි. අලුත් අවුරුද්දේ අපි කොහොම හරි ඇඟ හදනවා කියලා ජිම් එකට යනවා. what happens? The motivation will reduce and you will lose the motivation and you will අතහැරලා දානවා. That happens to you also. ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියලා මහ ලොකු වෙනසක් නැහැ නේ. ඔයගොල්ලන්ටත් ඒකම තමයි වෙන්නේ. What happens? What will happen? අද මේ දැන් මේ ක්ලාස් එක අද අලුතෙන් ක්ලාස් එකකට යනවා. මම අද ඉඳන් කරලා මාස 8කින් මේක කරනවා කියලා පටන් ගත්තට ඔයගොල්ලෝ මාසයක් යද්දි ළමයි අර මොටිවේෂන් එක නැති කරගන්නවා. ළමයි මේක හරියට කරන්න නම් you should have a dream. Right? You should have a dream. So you should imagine. Right? So හැමදාම උදේට ළමයි කණ්ණාඩි ළඟට ගිහිල්ලා ඔයා දිහා බලද්දි හැමදාම හිතින් මවා ගන්නවා ස්ටෙත් එක දාගෙන ඉන්නවා. ඔයා ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වෙලා ස්ටෙත් එක දාගෙන ඉන්නවා මවා ගන්නවා. කණ්ණාඩි ළඟට යන හැම පාරම කොණ්ඩේ පිරන ගමන් ස්ටෙත් එක මවා ගන්න. That will push you. That will keep your motivation. Right? එහෙම බැරි නෑ ළමයි මේක කරන්න. එහෙම එච්චර අමාරු වැඩක් නෙමෙයි. මේකේ තියෙනවා ටෙක්නික් එකක්. ඒ ටෙක්නික් එකට හරියට ගිහිල්ලා එක්සෑම් එක හරියට කරන්න තියෙන ළමයි. මේකේ චෙක් කරන්නේ වගේ මෙමරි එක. ඔයා මෙඩිසින් යන්න චෙක් කරන්නේ මෙමරි එක. මෙඩිසින් වලදී චෙක් කරනවා තව මෙමරි එකට අමතරව තව ස්කිල්ස්. but we are in A levels. හරි මේකේ මේක පැන ගන්න they'll check your memory. So you have to improve your memory. You just what you have to do is don't let your brain to forget these things. අද මම කියලා දෙන ටික අමතක වෙන්න දෙන්න එපා ළමයි. මේ ටික අමතක වෙන්න දෙන්න එපා. මේක මහ ලොකු ගොඩක් නෑනේ. මොකද්ද ඔයා කරන්න ඕනේ? මේ ටික මොනවාද කියලා ක්ලාස් එක ඉවර වෙච්ච ගමන් මතක් කරගන්න. අර රීකැප් එක කරනවා මම මතක් කරනවානේ. ඒ ටික ආයි මතක් කරගත්තා. මොකද කරන්න ඕනේ? මේ නෝට් එක මම දෙනවා. ඒක ලිව්වා. මයින්ඩ් මැප් එක හැමදාම හිතින් පුරවගෙන ගියා. ඔයා බලන්න ළමයි මාසයක් කරලා බලන්න මේ වැඩේ මාත් එක්ක. you will improve a lot. හරිනේ. ඔයාට ඊළඟ ටර්ම් ටෙස්ට් එක වෙද්දී ඔයාගේ මාක්ස් අනිවාර්යෙන් ලොකු ප්‍රමාණයකින් වැඩි වෙනවා. දැන් මාත් එක්කම ගියොත් යන ස්පීඩ් එකක් තියෙනවා. ඔයා තනියනුත් මේව කරගෙන යන්න ළමයි. දැන් ක්ලාස් වල යන පාඩම් තියෙනවානේ. ඒ ලෙසන්ස් වලට මේ මයින්ඩ් මැප් ෂෝට් නෝට්ස් හදාගන්න. රිවිෂන් ක්ලාස් එකේ එක නෙමෙයි. තියරි ක්ලාස් වල. ඔයගොල්ලෝ යනවා නැතිනේ. මම තියරි ක්ලාස් එකක් ඔන්ලයින් තියරි ක්ලාස් එකක් කරන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි 2026 වලට. so this is the classroom. ඒකට හේතුව මට ළමයි හොස්පිටල් එකේ වැඩ කරන ගමන්නේ කරන්නේ. මට ඇත්තටම දවස් 2යි ළමයි ෆ්‍රී කරගන්න පුළුවන් වීක් එකේ. එතකොට මම ගොඩාක් ක්ලාසස් කරන්න පුළුවන් තත්ත්වයක නෑ හොස්පිටල් එකේ වැඩ කරන නිසා. right? ඉතින් මම කරන්නේ very limited amount of classes. right? so you are lucky. මම හිතනවා මම දන්නේ නැහැ ඉතින් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙයි. so කලින් හිටපු ළමයි දන්නවා you are lucky to join my class. right? I will guide you. right? I will guide you to that A. so just follow my path. just follow my way. It's not difficult. මම කියන්නේ ඒක ළමයි. මම එහෙම අම්බානක වැඩ කරපු එනම දක්ෂ ළමෙක් නෙමෙයි. හරිනේ? I got lucky to selected to the medical faculty. Right? As the cut off. Right? ඒ වුණාට at last I found the way to work easily. මේක ලේසියෙන් කරන විදිය තමයි මේක. අද මම මහන්සි වෙනවා නම් දෙයක් පාඩම් කරන්න ආයි ඒක වෙනුවෙන් මහන්සි වෙන්න එපා ළමයි. මම ඒකයි කියන්නේ. අද දෙයකට පාඩම් කරන්න ඕගොල්ලෝ මහන්සි වෙනවා නම් ආයි ඒක වෙනුවෙන් ඒ එෆර්ට් එකම දෙන්න එපා. හරිනේ? ඔයා නිකන් හරි අද බලපු එක බලන්න නැතුව කාලයක් හිටියොත් ඔයාට මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? ඔයාට ඒ එෆර්ට් එකම ආපහු දෙන්න වෙනවා. එතකොට මහන්සි ළමයි. එතකොටයි අමාරු. අද මේ කරන ටික ආයි අමතක වෙන්න දෙන්න එපා. ඔයා සතියක් එක දිගට බලන්න. විනාඩි 10ක් යයි. දැන් මම බලන්න මම මේ පාඩමේ කරපු ටික කියාගෙන යන්න මට විනාඩි 5ක් යන්නේ නැහැ. මම අන්තිමට ක්ලාස් එක ඉවරෙද්දි විනාඩි 10ක් යයි. ඒතකොට ඕගොල්ලන්ටත් දවසකට විනාඩි 10 ඔයාට දවසකට විනාඩි 10ක් බයොලොජි වලට දෙන්න බැර නම් මයින්ඩ් මැප්ස් ටික ආයි මතක් කරන්න. ඔයාට මෙඩිසින් යන්න බෑ ළමයි. එහෙම බෑ. එච්චරම දෙයක් ඒ වගේ දෙයක්වත් කරන්න නැතුව ඔයා මෙඩිසින් යන්න හිතන් ඉන්නවා නම් ඒක හරි අමාරුයි ළමයි. බෑ නෙමෙයි අමාරුයි. මම මේ කියන්නේ ලේසියෙන් කරන්න ඕනේ දේ. අද පාඩම් කරනවා අමාරුවෙන් අද ඔළුවට දාගන්නවා අමාරුවෙන් ඒක අමතක වෙන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ. අර බ්‍රේන් එකේ ෆොගෙට් කර්ව් එකේ පල්ලෙහාට යන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ අපි. ෆොගෙට් කර්ව් එක උඩ බම්ප් වෙවි ඉන්නවා. ඔයාට තේරෙයි ළමයි. ඔයාට දැන් අපි හිතුවට අන්තිම දවසේ මුළු සිලබස් එකම බලන්න බෑ කියලා. ඔයා මේ ප්‍රැක්ටිස් එක අද ඉඳන් කරගෙන ගියොත් ඔයාට එක්සෑම් එකට කලින් දවසේ මුළු සිලබස් එකම බලන්න පුළුවන් ළමයි කොහොමත් පුළුවන්. මට මෙඩිසින් මුළු සිලබස් එකම එක්සෑම් එකට කලින් දවසේ බලන්න පුළුවන් වුණා නම් ඔයාට A level මුළු සිලබස් එකම එක්සෑම් එකට කලින් දවසේ බලන්න බැරි වෙන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි. But for that you have to practice it. Right? එකපාරට මේ ඊට කලින් දවසේ ඔක්කොම එකපාර බලන්න බෑ ළමයි. ඔයා ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරලා හැමදාම බලලා තිබ්බොත් ඔයාට මුළු සිලබස් එකම බලන්න යන්නේ ළමයි පැය 5ක් 6ක් විතර. මුළු සිලබස් එකම A to Z mind map හිතින් පුරවගෙන යන්න. ඔක්කොම ටික කටපාඩම්ද කියලා බලාගෙන යන්න. එහෙම කරපු ළමයි ඉන්නවා ළමයි. මගේ ළමයි ඉන්නවා ගිය අවුරුද්දේ 2025 ස්ටුඩන්ට්ස්ලා නේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ සමහර කට්ටිය අර කියපු විදියට හරියටම වැඩේ කරපු කට්ටිය ෂුවර් එකටම රෑන්ක් එකක් තමයි ළමයි. හරි. හරියට කියපු විදියටම කරපු කට්ටිය. කෝල් කරලා කියමුකත් ලේසි. ඒක කරගන්නනේ යමයි අපි මේ දඟලන එක්සෑම් එකට ගිහිල්ලා ඉවරලා ලේසි එක්සෑම් එක ලේසි කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන් නම් ආයි තව මොනවද ඕනේ? ඉතින් සර් ලේසි. එච්චර තමයි කිව්වේ ළමයි. ඒක උනේ ඇයි? ඒගොල්ලෝ අර මම කියපු පාත් එකේ හරියට ගියා. හැමදාම මේ මයින්ඩ් මැප් එක සතියකට සැරයක් හරි එක මේක බැලුවා. එකක්වත් සතිය මේක සතිය පැන්නොත් ළමයි බලන එක. මං කියන්නේ මුලින් හැමදාම බලන්න ඕනේ. පස්සේ මුල ඉඳන් අගට සතියකට එකපාරක්වත් බලන්න. අර අලුත් ඒවා හැමදාම බලනවා. විනාඩි 10ක් 15ක් යන්නේ ළමයි. සතියක දවසක් පැය 3ක් විතර අරගෙන මුල ඉඳන් ඔක්කොම ටික බලන්න. අලුත් ඒවා ළඟ බලනවා. හැමදාම බලනවා. එහෙමයි කරන්නේ ළමයි. මේක මාළුකෝ අමාරු වැඩක් නෙමෙයි. අනිත් එක ඔයාට ලියන්න ඒව මේව කරන්නේ නැහැ නේ. හිතින් පුරවගෙන යන්න තියෙන්නේ. බලන්නකො ළමයි ඔය මේ ටික මේ සති දෙක තුන කරාන් පස්සේ අපි පේපර්ස් පටන් ගන්නවා. අදම පටන් ගන්න නෑ ළමයි. පොඩ්ඩක් theory පොඩ්ඩක් කරගෙන ගියාට පස්සේ we'll move on to papers. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙයි දැන් උතන මේ ළමයි දෙකොට්ටාසයක් ඉන්නවා ළමයි දෙගොල්ලක් ඉන්නවානේ. There are some students who follow exactly what I'm telling. Those people will select those people will find out when we are doing the questions. ප්‍රශ්න කරද්දී ඔයාට උත්තර මතක් වෙනවා ළමයි චටපට ගාලා එන්නේ උත්තර ටික. You will see the mind map in your answer sheet. මට නම් එහෙමයි ළමයි. මම එක්සෑම් එකේ ෆයිනල් එක්සෑම් එකට ගියාන් පස්සේ ඒ questions එහෙම මම කරපු නැති එකක් නෑ ළමයි. ඔක්කොම මම දන්නේ ඒ questions. හැම question එකම දන්නවා. උත්තරේ මෙහෙම flow chart එකේ topic map එක මට පේනවා. මුලින්ම introduction එකේ point 3යි, අරගේ point 4යි, ඊට පස්සේ මේකේ structure එක ගැන point 5යි. එහෙම numbers එක point ගාන මතක හිටිනවා ළමයි. ඇයි මේක හැමදාම බලනවනේ ළමයි. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ දවස්වල වෙන වැඩ කරන්න යන්න එපා. social media වලින් අයින් වෙන්න ළමයි. Facebook account එකක් තියෙනවා නම් deactivate කරලා දාන්න. මම දන්නවා දැන් ළමයින්ට මේක තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඒක ළමයි අපිටත් ප්‍රශ්නයක්. හරි. ඒ කියන්නේ මගේ අතේ ෆෝන් එක තිබ්බොත් මම ෆෝන් එකේ Facebook TikTok හරි මොනවා හරි social media එකකට ගියොත් ළමයි මගේ වෙලාව යනවා මටම තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ මම ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වෙලා. ඉතින් ළමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ කොහෙද? ඔයගොල්ලෝ පොඩි ළමයිනේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ අතේ ෆෝන් එක තියෙනවනේ ළමයි වෙන වැඩ තමයි කරන්නේ. හරිනේ. ඉතින් ඔය social media accounts ටික deactivate කරලා දාන්න. මේ මාස 8ක්නේ ළමයි. ඔය මෙඩිසින් යන්නේ. නිකම් වෙන දෙයකට නෙමෙයි මේ මෙඩිසින් ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වෙනවා වගේ ජීවිතේම වෙනස් කරගන්න හදන්නේ. හරි? හැමදාම අර යන වෙලාව අයින් කරලම දාන්න. අනිත් එක තමයි you should be motivated. You have to have that spark within you. Without that spark you won't push yourself toward that. ඒක තමයි මම කිව්වේ ළමයි හැමදාම කණ්ණාඩියේ මූණ බලලා ඉස්සෙත් එක්ක කරේ දාගෙන ඉන්න ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වගේ දකින්න. එතකොට තමයි ළමයි ඔයා තල්ලු වෙන්නේ. මම මේ කියනවට කරලා බලන්න ළමයි. මම ඒක කරා ළමයි. මම ෆයිනල් එක්සෑම් එකට පාඩම් කරද්දි මම හැමදාම මං ආසාවෙන් හිටියේ ජයවර්ධනපුර හොස්පිටල් එකට යන්න. බිසි අඩුයි. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා ළමයි ඉන්ටර්න්ෂිප් එක කියන්නේ හරිම බිසි. හරිම හાર્ඩ්. ඒ වුණාට පොඩ්ඩක් බිසි අඩු පොඩ්ඩක් ප්‍රයිවට් වගේ ජයවර්ධනපුර විසිත් අඩුයි. You have can have a luxury internship in Jaipur. But to selected to that hospital you have to have a higher rank. මම හැමදාම පාඩම් කරන ගමන් මතක් හිතින් හිතාගන්නේ ජයවර්ධන හොස්පිටල් එකේ මම ඉන්ටර්න්ෂිප් එක කරනවා මම මවා ගන්නවා හිතින්. එහෙම ඒක දෙපාන්දර මවාගෙන හිතින් මවාගෙන තමයි වැඩේ පටන් ගන්නේ. හරි. ඒකින්ද ඔයගොල්ලෝ ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් වෙනවා කියන එක මවා ගන්න ළමයි. wow dreaming right then it will become true. හරි. ඒක එහෙම තමයි. හරිනේ කරලා බලන්න. හරිද? හරි ළමයි. මම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ලන්ච් බ්‍රේක් එකේ දෙන්න ළමයි. දැන් now it's 11:08 මේ 1:08 අපි 30 minutes වලින් ක්ලාස් එක පටන් ගමු. 1:10 කියලා ගත්තොත් 1:40 වලට ක්ලාස් එක again let's start the class again. අද unit 1 ඉවර කළා අපිට unit 2 එකේ initial part එකත් කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි ළමයි. හරි. So I'll give you a half an hour break. lunch එකෙන් පස්සේ join වෙමු. 1:40 1:40 right. Give me a second now. Check on. Check on. Check on. Check on. Give me a second now. So now I'll show you the path, Lamai. So you have to follow my path. Then you will be definitely getting an A. In our faculties, in our studies, our lecturers have told us that usually for an exam, you have to get ready for the time period which is needed for a person to sit for any kind of exam is 6 months, right? If you work 6 months for an exam, you will definitely pass it, right? So now we have 8 months, right? If we work hard enough during these 8 months, you will be definitely selected to the medical faculty. So there might be some students who have joined my previous revision class, which was done within 5 months, right? So we had only 5 months for the previous 2025 revision class. I had covered most of the part of the syllabus, right? So some of those students also who are willing to sit for the 2026 exam also join my class, right? For this class also, right? So please, those people know that those students know how the class is going and how the teaching techniques are, how I teach the things, right? And what are my teaching techniques, right? So I'll give my best to make sure that you understand these things. If you don't understand anything, please ask me then and there. I'll explain it again and again until you understand, right? So I'll do my best, right? I'm doing two jobs, Nilamai. I'm working in the hospital and doing A-level classes in the same time is bit difficult. So it's not bit, it's actually very difficult, right? But I like to teach. So I'm teaching, right? So uh, just take the advantage of this class. Just take the full advantage of this class. I'll show you the easiest way to get an A, right? Not the hard way. But you have to be focused and you have to go through these things each and every day. So you have to know that this is an 8-month pathway, right? You have to go through this pathway for 8 months. So don't lose the hope. Don't lose the spark, right? Just you don't have to run. Just walk with me. There are 8 months, Nilaman. Just walk with me, but don't stop. You can't stop it, right? You don't have to run. It's a easy way, right? So just walk with me. You have to go through the mind maps each every day. You don't have to waste 5 to 6 hours for revise those things. It will take only 10 to 20 minutes, right? So you have to give that 10 to 20 minutes for biology, right? Without giving that 10 to 20 minutes for biology, you can't get a, right? So please follow my path, right? I'll show you the path. I'll provide you the vehicle. You just have to get on it and right. So මේක ළමයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ලොකු පුෂ් එකක් දෙන්නේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් ගන්න මේක නිකන් මේ ක්ලාස් දැන් this is a competitive exam. This is the most competitive exam in Sri Lanka, right? Among those subjects, biology is the most difficult subject, right? Most difficult subject to get a A. Not the most difficult subject. It's the most difficult subject to get a A. That you should know among all the advanced level subjects, biology is the subject which is getting least A's, right? Among all the advanced level subjects, biology is the subject which gets least A percentage. Among science subjects, biology, physics and chemistry, biology is the highest percentage of pass, having the highest percentage of pass students, right? So biology is easy to pass, hard to get a, right? So it is easy to get a S, but it is very difficult to get a A. So ඔගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා ඇතින් ළමයි, there was no student who have taken more than 90 marks for biology in our A-level history. So no, not a single person, not a single student in this advanced level history have taken more than 90 marks for biology paper. ඔගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ මේක ලේසි වැඩක් නෙමෙයි. අන්නේ. But I'll teach you the way to get a mark more than 90. If you work hard enough, you will get more than 90 ළමයි. Definitely. Right? ඒකින්ද මේකේ වෙන්නේ පාත් එක පෙන්නුවට ගොඩක් අය පොඩි පොඩි තැන් අන්තිම වෙලාවේ චුට්ට හරි මඟ අර ගන්නවා ළමයි. නැත්තම් මේක කරගන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් කරුණාකරලා ළමයි මං කියන පාරේ යන්. හරිනේ? Just follow my path, right? You will definitely get a A, right? දැම්ම බලන්නකො මේවා ටික මතක වෙන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ ඔයගොල්ලෝ. හරිනේ? මාස 8ක් යනකම් මේ ටික මතක තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒකට තමයි මම අර කියලා දුන්න ටික කරන්න ඕනේ. හරි? Right. So the nature and the organizational pattern of living world, right? So there's a diversity in living world. There's a diversity. There's a huge difference between organisms, right? So this diversity is based on, this diversity is based on, right? Diversity is based on size. Diversity is based on shape, right? Based on size. So there are organisms in different sizes, right? And there are organisms in different shapes, right? And there are organisms with different forms, right? Forms means there are unicellular forms and there are multicellular forms, right? Unicellular and or multicellular. Unicellular means organisms with single cell. So they are, the whole organism is a single cell. Multicellular means there are more than, there are many cells in organism, right? Multicellular. And they are different, they are so different in habitat. So these are the things that make the diversity, right? So the diversity is based on size, shape, form, unicellular, multicellular, then habitat, right? Habitat, right? So then let's discuss about the characteristics of organisms. What are the characteristics of organisms, right? So you have to know that I initially told you there are no acceptable definition for life, right? Other than giving a definition for life, scientists have given characteristics of organisms or characteristics of life, right? So most of the living organisms, so not most, sorry Lamai, all the living organisms are having these characteristics, right? Right? Having these characteristics of life. or characteristics of organisms, right? So that's the way we differentiate living from non-living, whether they are having these characteristics or not. If they have these characteristics, we tell them, we call them living. If they don't have these characteristics, we call them non-living. That's simple as that. But I'll explain it later, Lamai. But some non-living things might have few of these characteristics. But if they have only few characteristics, we don't consider them as living. Simple as that. So, what I told you, to differentiate non-living and non-living, we have a set of characteristics. If these characteristics are present, we call them living. If these characteristics are not present within them, we call them non-living, right? But there are some non-living things which have one or two or few of these characteristics. So if they only have few of these characteristics, we don't consider them as living, right? I'll explain it later. First, let's discuss what are the characteristics of living organisms, right? What are the characteristics of living organism? First one is order and organization, right? Characteristics of living organisms. Characteristics of organisms. Of organisms, right? First one is order and organization. First one is first one order and organization. First one is order and organization, right? What is this order and organization? So there's a order and organization from molecular level to the biosphere. We'll discuss these things later, Lamai. What are the organizational levels between molecular level to biosphere? Anyway, you have to know that there's a order and organization from molecular level to biosphere, right? There's an organization and order and organization from molecular level to biosphere, right? So due to this organization and order, these organisms can perform biological activities, right, effectively. So due to this organization and order, organisms can, right, organisms can perform biological activities effectively, right? So they can perform biological activities effectively. Biological activities effectively, right? So due to this order and organization, right? That's about order and organization. We will discuss later about the organizational level. What are the organizational levels from molecular level to biosphere? So molecular level means in our body, the smallest component we considered as molecular level. There are micromolecules, macromolecules, right? Like that. We will discuss these things later, right? Then order and organization. Then the next character of organism is metabolism. Second one is metabolism, order and organization, then metabolism. Second one is metabolism. What is metabolism? Metabolism. In metabolism, right? It is the sum of all the chemical activities. Metabolism is the sum of, what is metabolism? It is the sum of all chemical activities, right? It is the sum of all chemical activities. So it includes anabolic reactions and catabolic reactions. It includes anabolic plus catabolic reactions. What are the meaning of anabolic and catabolic? So anabolic reactions means we make complex molecules using simple molecules, right? We make a complex molecule using simple molecule. So when we make a complex molecule from simple molecules, that means we have to make bonds. Ne? So there's a small molecule. There's two small molecules, right? To make a large molecule, we have to make them connected. Or to connect them, we have to make bonds, right? So in anabolism, we have to make bonds. So when you make bonds, it will absorb energy. To make bonds, it will absorb energy. For example, photosynthesis is an anabolic reaction. So from simple molecules like carbon dioxide and water, they'll make a complex molecule, glucose. So it's a, from simple molecule we make complex molecule. So for that we have to make bonds. When we make in bonds, what should happen? The energy should be absorbed, right? From where does the energy come for the photosynthesis? From light, sunlight. So the plants will absorb the energy from sunlight to make complex molecules from simple molecules. That's photosynthesis. It's anabolic reaction. What is catabolism? Catabolism means make simple molecules from a complex molecule, or breakdown of a complex molecule into simple molecules. So this is a complex molecule. To break down it to simple molecules, we have to break the bonds. So if the bonds are broken, that means what? If the bonds are broken, it will release energy, right? When the bonds are broken, it will release energy. So in catabolism, it will release energy, right? So what you have to know that, what is, do you know example for catabolism? Cellular respiration, right? You know cellular respiration. So in cellular respiration, what will happen? What we eat, so what we absorb to blood is glucose from our food. Then what we do is we'll break that glucose molecule and convert it to simpler molecules like carbon dioxide and water. So from a complex molecule we make simple molecules. The complex molecule glucose is broke down into simple molecules, glucose and water. What will happen when the bonds are breaking? It will release the energy, right? That energy is used for our cellular activities and for the synthesis of ATP. So that is cellular respiration. We will discuss those things later. So it's an catabolic reaction. So sum of all these chemical activities is known as metabolism. Anabolic reaction and catabolic reactions, right? Then the third characteristic of organism is growth and development. Growth and development. Growth and development. So you have to know what is growth and what is development. So what is growth? What is growth? And what is development? What is growth? What is development? Right? So growth is the irreversible increase in dry mass. So growth is irreversible increase in dry mass. It should be irreversible increase in which mass? Dry mass, right? Not the wet mass, right? Irreversible increase in dry mass. So, so you in the if it is grow, it is a grow, it should be irreversible. මෙහෙම හිතන්නකො දැන් අද ඉන්නවා ඔයා මේ සතියම කනවා පීසා කනවා කොත්තු කනවා රයිස් කනවා you will take eat a lot and you will gain weight. You will gain weight. And the next week you will be right. You will eat an egg per a meal and you will wait. What will happen? You will lose the weight. So that's not a growth. So it's irreversible. Just think now your height is 160 or 170 centimeters. Right? Your height is 160 centimeters. Right? Will you get shorter in the next year if you don't eat? It won't happen. So you won't get shorter, right? You won't get shorter. එහෙම හිතන්න පුළුවන් දැන් ආච්චිලා එහෙම උසට හිටපු ආච්චිලා පොඩ්ඩක් කොටයි වගේ පේන්නේ that's not getting shorter, that's bending, right? That's a different story, right? You won't get shorter. So it's a irreversible increase in dry mass like thing. So remember the growth like that ළමයි. මම මේ කියන්නේ දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ growth කිව්වම උස යන එක growth එහෙම කියන්න යන්න එපා, right? මම මේක මතක තියාගන්න ලේසි වෙන්න කියන්නේ. හරිනේ? You have to write what exactly in the resource book. Resource book tells growth is irreversible increase in dry mass, right? It is irreversible increase in dry mass. Then what is development? Development is the irreversible changes occur during lifespan, right? So they are irreversible, both are irreversible. Irreversible changes occur during the lifespan. What's the meaning of that? Those are irreversible changes. Then there's a small child, neonate. Neonate means small child, infant or neonate. So they can't talk most of the time. Initially they can't talk. They'll do blah 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 and ma 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 pa pa pa. So that's mumbling, right? So after few years they'll start to tell words, right? Amma, tata, like that they try to communicate. After that they'll tell inappropriate sentences, right? Like that. So day by day they'll develop, right? So දැන් බලන්න දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ ළමයි හොඳට කතා කරනවානේ කතා බහ කරලා වචන කතා කරලා කියනවා, right? ඕගොල්ලෝ ඔහොම ඉඳලා එක පාටම ආයි blah 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 ගන්න නැහැ ළමයි නේ. එහෙම වෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ. ඒක වෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ. So that's a irreversible change in your life span. දැන් හිතන්න පොඩි ළමයි බඩ ගාගෙන යනවා, දන ගාගෙන යනවා, ඇවිදගෙන යනවා. දැන් ආයි බඩ ගන්නවද? එහෙම වෙන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි. That's a development. It's irreversible changes occur in lifespan. That's development, right? That's the difference between growth and development. Growth is irreversible increase in dry mass. Development is irreversible changes happens during lifespan, right? They should be irreversible, right? So these two are consequent processes, right? Grow වෙලා ඉවර වෙලා develop වෙන්න බෑ ළමයි. These are two consequent processes, right? Two consequence processes. These two are two consequent processes, right? Then, so we have discussed about order and organization, metabolism, growth and development. So we are discussing about the nature and the organizational pattern of living world. First, we discuss about diversity. The diversity is based on size, shape, form and habitat. Then we are discussing about characteristics of organisms. We discussed three characteristics. First one is order and organization from molecular level to biosphere, right? Due to this order and organization, organisms can perform biological activities effectively, right? Then metabolism. Metabolism is the sum of all chemical activities, anabolic and catabolic. In anabolic reactions, there will be, during anabolic reactions, what happens? Complex molecules will be formed using simple molecules. In catabolism, simple molecules will be formed using complex molecules. Right. Then growth and development. Growth is the irreversible increase in dry mass. Development is the irreversible changes happen in lifespan. These two are two consequent events, right? Processes. Then next one is irritability and coordination. Next one is irritability and coordination. Fourth one. Fourth one. Irritability and coordination. Irritability and coordination. Coordination. What is this irritability and coordination? What is irritability? So irritability is the ability to respond to a stimuli from internal or external environment. It is the, what is irritability? What is irritability? What is irritability? Irritability is the ability to, right? Ability to respond, right? Is the ability to respond. Respond. For what? For stimuli, to a stimuli, right? From either from internal environment or from external environment. Ability to respond to a stimuli from either internal or external environment. So, irritability is the ability to respond to a stimuli from internal or external environment. For example, Lamai, so if someone called your name, what will happen? You will respond, ne? If someone called my name, I'll look and see that side, ne? Watch that side. I'll turn to that side. So that's the response, right? The stimuli was the sound. So it's external stimuli. What are the internal stimuli? So there are internal stimuli. So hunger is an internal stimuli. You will respond to it. Ne? Right? So if you have urge to micturate, it's a internal stimuli. You have to go to the washroom. Ne? So so irritability is the ability to respond. Right? We have that ability. Right? Non-living things can't, most of the time non-living things can't respond, right, to stimuli from the internal or external environment, right? Right. Then we have to know a few things about movement, right? What is movement? Movement. Moving. Movement, right? So it occurs as a result of irritability and coordination. To move, there should be irritability and coordination. It's a a result of irritability and coordination. It's a result of irritability and coordination, right? It's a result of irritability and coordination. In animals, it's a the movement is sorry. So to move, there should be a good. It's a combination of irritability and coordination. In animals, right? That movement is it's a coordinated effort of nervous system, hormonal system, muscular system, and skeletal system. So in animals, it's a coordinated effort. In animals, it's a coordinated effort of 4 systems. It's a coordinated effort of 4 systems. What are those 4 systems? Nervous system and hormonal system, muscular system, and skeletal system. So all these 4 systems are needed for the movement of animal, right? So these type of questions are asked lamai, right? So please remember these things, right? මේවා අපි හිතුවේ නැති වුණාට මේවා අහන්න පුළුවන්ම කෑලි. හොඳේ? මම මේ ක්ලාස් එකේදී මේ කියන එක වචනයක්වත් අපතේ දාන්න බෑ ළමයි. අපි හිතන්නේ නැති දේවල් එක්සෑම් එකට අහනවා. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දකින්න නැතිනේ මේ පාර පේපර් එක. මේ පාර පේපර් එකේ අහලා තිබ්බා. So එකේ question එකක් අහලා තිබ්බා. Living මොකද origin of life, right? Origin of life එක ගැන what are the subjects that should be observed for get an idea about the origin of life. So there were 3 subjects, right? Geology, physics, and chemistry, right? That was a question. That was it was in the introduction ළමයි. මම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කිව්වේ කලින් පාර අහලා තිබ්බා what are the methods of sustainable food production? What are the methods? High yield organisms and plants, right? High yield animals and plants. ඊට පස්සේ what else? Disease resistant animals and plants and post harvest improving post harvest technologies. ඕක අහලා තිබ්බා ළමයි structured essay එකේ. හැම අවුරුද්දෙම මේකෙනුත් එකක් අහනවා ළමයි. ඒ එක ලකුණ වැදගත් ළමයි. ඒ ලකුණු දෙක වැදගත්. ඒක තේරුම් ගන්න හොඳේ. එක ලකුණයිනි කියලා අතරින්න ලෑස්ති වෙන්න එපා. මේ හැම ලකුණක්ම ඔයාව ස්ටෙප් එකක් ඉස්සරහට ගෙනියනවා ළමයි. 100න් එකක් කියන්නේ පොඩ්ඩක් නෙමෙයි. හරිනේ. ඔයාලට තේරෙනවනේ. ඒ 100න් ඒ එක MCQ එක මිස් වුණා නම් මම මෙඩිසින් නැහැ. I'm not a medical doctor. I'll be a dental doctor. If I lose 3 to 4 MCQs, I'll be a vet. If I lose around 10 MCQs, I won't be a vet even. Right? That's what happened. Eginda single MCQs matters. Right? So we have to get each and every MCQ. MCQs are the things that matter most. Right? You have to score at least, you have to score more than 45. That's sure. You have to score more than 45. Right? It can be done. It can be done, lamai. Within 5 months, I have pushed some of the students to that aim, lamai. Right? So I got a student who had a C for both chemistry, biology and physics, and she had A for the chemistry in first try. Right? But can't go to the medical faculty. So the second child, she had scored around 47 MCQs. Right? So 47, 46 MCQs, it can be vary due to the answers, because answers can be varied when the final answer sheet comes. So 46 to 47 means a large amount of MCQs. And I know that most of those students have done what I have told them, right? So they make the mind map, they go through the mind map at the end of the exam. So when the last few weeks, she told that she can go through the whole syllabus within 6 hours. From A to Z, from all syllabus. From first unit mind map to the 10th unit mind map, she could be able to go, right, go through the 10th unit mind map within 6 to 7 hours. Right? ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා එක දවසක් අරගෙන පැය 6න් 7 මුළු සිලබස් එකම සම්පූර්ණයෙන් A to Z පුළුවන් ඒ ළමයා. ඒ ගානට එන්න ළමයි. ඒ ගානට එන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකට අපි step wise යන්න ඕනේ. It took only 5 months for her. Actually, I taught her up to 6 or 7 units. Other units she have had made the mind maps and she had personally make go through those mind maps. I have only shown her the path. She have gone in. Right? මමත් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට දැන් මම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පාත් එක පෙන්නනවා විතරක් නෙමෙයි. ඔය මුල් ටික පාත් එකක් පෙන්නලා මම මයින්ඩ් මැප් උත් දීලා නේ වාහනේටත් නග්ගලක් දෙනවා. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන වාහනේ යන්න විතරයි. බහින්න නැතුව මගේ. හරිනේ? ඉතින් ඒක කරගන්න ළමයි. හරිනේ? මෙහෙම බබා වගේ ඔක්කොම හදලා දෙන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි. හරිනේ? ඒකින්ද කරුණාකරලා ඒකේ ප්‍රයෝජනෙ ගන්න. හරිනේ? මම කියන්නේ දැනට ඔයගොල්ලෝ යන තියරි ක්ලාස් එකක මොන හරි නෝට් තියනවා නම් නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැන් සමහර සෙකන්ඩ් ට්‍රයි කරපු ළමයි වෙන්න තියෙන්නේ තව දැන්ට නෝට් තියනවා නම් you make your own mind map, you make your own short note that will more effective, right? It will more effective than taking my mind map definitely ළමයි. අන්න එහෙම පුළුවන් නම් super, right? එහෙම බැර නම් මඩුම ගානේ මේ ටික බලන්න අනිවාර්යෙන්. අන්න ඒක නොකර ඉන්න එපා. අපරාධයක් වෙනවා. හරි? Okay. So irritability and coordination. Irritability is the ability to respond to a stimuli from an internal or external environment. So movement is a result of irritability and coordination in animals. It's a coordinated effort of 4 systems: nervous system, hormonal system, muscular system and skeletal system. Right. Then 5th characteristic is adaptation. What is adaptation? Fifth one is adaptation. What is adaptation? Right. Adaptation is the peculiarity of structure, physiology and behavior, promotes survival and reproduction in a particular environment. So it's peculiarity of changes or peculiarity of either structure, physiology or behavior, right? So it's structure, physiology or behavior, right? So it's the peculiarity of structure, physiology and behavior, right? So peculiarity of structure, physiology and behavior which promotes either survival and reproduction, right? Peculiarity of structure, physiology and behavior which promotes survival and reproduction. See, survival and reproduction, right? Survival and reproduction in a particular environment, in a particular environment, right? Adaptation is the peculiarity of structure, morphology and physiology and behavior which promotes survival or reproduction in a particular environment. For example, adaptation. So you are right. So you are going to do a job as ගල් කඩනවා කියලා ඉතින් ගල් කඩනවා. දැන් ගල් කඩන ජොබ් එකක් හම්බ වෙනවා. මොකද වෙන්නේ? ගල් ගන්නවා කියන්නේ කළු ගලට ගහලා කඩන්න නේ. So you have to adapt to that particular environment. So now the environment has changed, right? දැන් ඔහොම ඉන්නවා නේ, මුකුත් වැඩක් කරන්නේ නැතුව ඉන්නවා. ඊට පස්සේ ඒ ලෙවල් ෆේල් වෙනවා නේ. ඊට පස්සේ ගල් කඩන රස්සාවක් වගේ හම්බුනොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? You have to, your environment has changed. So what happens? So you have to adapt to that environment. You will get structural differences, right? You will get particularity of physiology, you get behavioral changes which promote the survival and reproduction, right? ගල් කඩන ගියන් පස්සේ මොකද වෙන්නේ ළමයි? අතින් ගහලා කඩන්න ඕනේ. What happened? That structure of the arm will be different. It will change. Structure of the arm will be changed. Muscles will grow more than previously නේ. Gym ගියා වගේ තමයි. Then what happens? Your muscle mass will increase, right? Your blood vessels will be dilate. There will be revascularization, right? New blood vessels will be formed, right? So new anastomosis will be formed, right? The structure will be different. The physiology will be changed. The blood supply will change, right? The heart rate will change. The function of the heart will change, right? The physiology will change. And the behaviors also will be changed. Definitely your behavior will change. So, for example, right? Take example like this. So there might be peculiarity of structure, physiology, and what? Reproduction, behavior, which promotes survival or reproduction. It will promote either survival or reproduction in that particular environment, right? Then gym එකට යනවා කියලා හිතන්නේ. Gym එකට කියලා what you do? You will do exercises, yeah, right? And right. So what will happen? So gym එකට ගියාන් පස්සේ what will happen? Your structure will change, your morphology will change, maybe physiology will change, your behavior definitely change. With a huge tummy and large belly එකක් තියාගෙන මෙහෙම හිටපු කෙනෙක් slim වෙලා හොඳට හිටිය ගමන් it will, what happen? It will change your behavior also, right? Then it promotes the survival, right? You will be healthy. It will promote the survival and it will promote the reproduction. You will be good looking guy, then it will promote the reproduction in that environment. So that's adaptation, right? So remember like that, Lamai. Okay. So what is irritability and coordination? Irritability is the ability to respond to a stimuli from internal or external environment. Movement is a result of irritability and coordination, and in animals it's a coordinated effort of four systems: nervous system, hormonal system, muscular system, and skill system. Then we discussed about the adaptation. It's the peculiarity of structure, morphology, and behavior which promote survival and reproduction in a particular environment, right? Then next one is reproduction. Next characteristic is reproduction. Next character is reproduction. Next character is reproduction. What is reproduction? So you have to know the definition of reproduction. Reproduction is the ability to produce offsprings for continuous existence of a species. It is the ability to produce what? Offsprings, right? It is the ability to produce offsprings, right? Right? It is the ability to produce offsprings for continuous existence of a species. For continuous existence of species. Right? That's reproduction. Simple. Then heredity and evolution. Next one is heredity and evolution. These are the characteristics of organisms. Heredity and evolution. And evolution. Heredity and evolution. So, in heredity and evolution, you have to know a few things about genes. What are genes? So, genes are the things that control. So, genes can control specific physiological or morphological or behavioral character of an organism. So, these genes, they can control, right? They can control our characteristics. Which characteristics? Right? They can control specific physiological, morphological or behavioral characters of organisms. They can control specific physiological, morphological, or behavioral characters of an organism, right? So genes can control, right? Genes can control specific morphological, means structural. The look is the morphology. How it is, the structure, how the structure is organized. The morphology can be is controlled by genes. Ne? Wage shape, wage morphology controlled by genes. Your more physiology, how your body functions, is controlled by gene. Your behavior also controlled by genes. ළමයි. ඒකන් ළමයි තරහා යන අම්මලා තාත්තයි ළමයිනුත් නිකන් තරහා යන ගතියක් තියෙන. ඒකන් ළමයි psychiatric illnesses will transmit from generation to generation. So there's a genetic transmission of psychiatric disorders. ඒකන් ළමයි අර පවුල් පිටින්ම සාමාන්‍ය එක පවුලක psychiatric patient කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් there might be many patients within the family, right? So because it's genetic, right? So genes are controlling specific physiological, morphological and behavioral characters of an organism, right? And these genes will pass from generation to generation. So these genes will pass from generation to generation, right? These genes will pass from generation to generation. In evolution, right, in evolution, what happens, we'll discuss this in later. My evolution ගැන වෙනම කතා කරනවා. So ability to change over time as a result of genetic modification. It is the ability to change over time. Due to what? As a result of genetic modification. So Lama, you have to know the difference between adaptation and evolution. In adaptation, there won't be a genetical modification. So genes won't change due to adaptation. Or gym gya කියලා ඔයාගේ body එක build up වුණාට ළමයි, that won't be included, or that won't change your genes, right? That won't happen due to a change in the genes. Genes will be the same. ඒකින්ද ඔයාගේ ළමයාට එහෙම නිකන් එකපාරට six pack එකක් එක්ක හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ ළමයි ඒ genetics කියා කියලා. එහෙම වෙන්නේ නැහැ. So the adaptation is a temporary process. If you stop going to gym, you will be again lose the muscle mass, right? But in evolution, it is the ability to change over time as a result of genetic modification. It's a genetic modification. It will pass to the next generation, right? Okay, that's what you have to know about these characteristics of life. So the reproduction means ability to produce offsprings for continuous existence of life, species. Heredity and evolution, genes will control specific behavioral, morphological or physiological characters of an organism, and they will pass from generation to generation. Evolution is the ability to change over time as a result of genetic modification, Right. So as I told you earlier, non-living entities may have one or more of these characteristics, right? But not all of them, right? So some organisms might, some non-living things might have one or two of these characteristics. For an example, right? So salt crystals can grow. Crystals can grow. When the salts are precipitated, right, from seawater, what happens? That crystal will grow. The size of the salt crystal will increase gradually. But do we consider salt as a living thing? So movement and coordination is a characteristic of living organism. But if the sea waves move, can we tell that the sea is living? Right? So there might be one or two characteristics of living organisms in non-living things, but not all. But in living organism, these characteristics will be present, right? Sometimes all together, right? All the characteristics are present at same time, but sometimes there might be few characteristics might be missing, but they'll be there in at some point of their life, right? Life cycle. So living organisms will show these characteristics, right? Living organisms will show all these characteristics simultaneously or at some point of their life cycle, lifespan, right? කියන්නේ ඔක්කොම characteristics ටික ඔක්කොම එකට එන්න පුළුවන්, but some organisms show them in different stages of their life, right? So that's what you have to know about living and non-living things, right? Okay. Then in the last part of unit 1, last part of unit 1, hierarchical levels of organization of living things. Hierarchical levels of organization of living things. What are the hierarchical levels of organization? Organization. Hierarchical levels gonna we'll study in last units, right? In but now just remember the names of these hierarchical units, right? The cell is the basic structural and functional unit of organism. So you have to know that the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life, right? It is the basic structural and functional unit of life, right? It is the basic structural and functional unit of life. So as I told you, there's a order and organization from molecular level to the biosphere. Now we are going to discuss or name the levels, hierarchical levels. So I'll give you a brief, comprehensive explanation when we are discussing these things in that unit. So for now, I'll tell you the words. So the basics, most basic level is molecules, right? Molecules. Then comes molecules will join together and form the organelles. So molecules. So what are the molecules? So for example, water is a molecule. So this is the molecule, water molecule, H2O. So many molecules will join together and form a organelle. So this is the, what is this? This is the mitochondria. It's a organelle, right? It's organelle, right? Then organelles will join together to form a cell, right? A cell. They will join together and form the cell. Cell, right? Then these cells, next level is tissue. Cells will join and form tissue. So, for example, heart tissue. So, this is the heart muscle cells, cardiac muscle cells. Cardiac muscles, tissue. So, these are cardiac muscles, right? So, they are tissue. Tissues will join together and form what? They will form what? Organs, right? Organs. Organs will be formed by tissues. So, this is the organ. This is the this is the heart. Right? This is the heart. Right? Organs. Organs will join together and form the systems. Few organs will join together and form the cardiovascular system. Systems will join to form the organism. Right? Organism will be formed. And lot of organisms will join to form the population. Same type of organisms join together to form a population. Right? There will be a population. This is a population. Right? This is a population. And populations will join together and form a community. So there, in a community, there will be different type of organisms, right? There will be different types of organisms, right? Right? This is a elephant, okay, right? So this is a population, community, right? Then community will join together to form the ecosystem, right? Ecosystem. In ecosystem, there are non-living things and living things, right? So this is right, and there are water and other things, and this is a ecosystem. Ecosystem will be joined to form the biosphere. Right, we'll discuss in detail later on, right? Just remember these things, right? So there are molecules. What are the organizational levels, right? Hierarchical levels of organization. Molecules, organelles, cells, tissue, organs, systems, organism. Then population, communities, ecosystem, and the biosphere. That's all. Okay. Okay. That's what we have done up to now, Lamai. So I'm going to stop the class. Before stopping the class, we'll do a quick recap, Lamai. So if you don't got the tute, please tell me. I'll WhatsApp it to you. And if you have any friends who are willing to join the class, please send the message. I'll send you the recording of this class to everybody. You can share it as this is the first recording. I'll make it shareable. So as it is the free day and the first class, if anybody is interested with the class, they can join, right? So before stopping the class, let's go through what we have done up to now as a quick recap, right? Give me a minute. Right.